on YouTube, and we're gonna start off talking about the actual documentaries. Anybody that's seen anything with the Tether documentary, also come up here, leave a comment, let us know exactly what you thought about it. A shout out to my people that's going to be coming on YouTube. For all my people coming on YouTube, guys, make sure that you go ahead and you click that notification bell. Make sure that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Definitely like, share, comment on tonight's broadcast. Once again, definitely click the notification bell, subscribe to the channel, like, share, comment on tonight's broadcast. For my people on YouTube, we're going to be talking about two documentaries. It's going to be a review of the Tethers that's on Amazon Prime, as well as America's Truth, Cincinnati. We have a one of our sisters up in the space, Minister Ali. She's going to give us some analysis for those that haven't had a chance to see. And, you know, a lot of people don't know about the actual America's Truth Cincinnati documentary. She's going to touch up on that. And then we're going to also touch up, of course, on the Tethers documentary. We know that that's kind of had social media in the frenzy lately. And there's a number of people have actually already seen the actual documentary as well, too. So we definitely want to go ahead and give both of them the attention that they need as well, too. So, Minister Ali, if you don't mind, can you share some insight information for the people that don't know anything about the America's True Cincinnati documentary? Just to let folks know exactly what's it about, and just a little bit of information on it as well too. And like I said, we're going to touch up, guys. We're going to touch up on the Tether documentary as well too. I know a number of you guys, you definitely want to speak on that as well too. So, and if you do have some questions and you don't want to speak, put them in the comments section, whether on YouTube or whether over here on Twitter. Put them in the comment section. If you don't want to actually get the microphone and speak, put them up in the actual comment section. But Minister Ali, go ahead. I'll let you go ahead and just kind of get things warmed up and kind of give us some insight of what's going on in Cincinnati affecting Black people, and just let us know a little bit about this actual documentary, if you don't mind.
Sure, sure. Again, thank you, Newstoter, for allowing us an opportunity to engage with the listeners of your broadcast. So I'm born and raised in Cincinnati, and the documentary that we're speaking about was put together by the Center for Community Resilience. Dr. Wendy Ellis out of Washington, D.C. She was also born in Cincinnati, but now resides in the D.C. area. And, you know, just taking a real hard look at Cincinnati from its inception, from the time it became an actual recognized part of the state of Ohio, all the way up until now. Within 5 years of Cincinnati being founded, actually the first uprising happened here in 1792, prior to Cincinnati becoming an official town. And it's always been based, when there was an uprising here, either on race, politics, or a combination of the two. And there have been several uprisings here, and the latest one being in 2020, of course, when the murder of George Floyd happened. But we've seen, you know, some things happen here in Cincinnati that unfortunately have displaced and disengaged the Black community. Howsoever, you know, there's been an effort here lately, it seems, to reconcile that. And in order to reconcile it, in order to look at things in a comprehensive way, those in the power that be positions in the positions of trust are going to have to be really honest and engage not just who they pick and choose to and those who they feel most comfortable with, but those who have suffered the most. And anytime there's trauma inflicted on the community, it usually has disproportionately affected us as the Black community, especially Black women. And so we're seeing some, I guess, some resilience coming back, and also some residue from the injuries that have been made in the past.
You still there, Minister Ali?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, pause for a second.
Yes. So as we engage here in Cincinnati, you know, we're willing to use ourselves as an example of what can be done and what should be done, because unfortunately, what has happened here It has happened in many other cities, whereas, like I said, we've been disenfranchised. The powers that be, whether they be the government or those in the positions of trust, come forward with plans that don't include us, but they use us. Similar to what even in things that they talked about in Tether, in the Tether series. So yeah, we're ready to get engaged, ready to get some feedback from those that have seen the documentaries, and see how we can work together, I guess, to formulate some concrete decisions on what we need to do next.
Okay, thank you. How bad? Because I know the documentary, America's True Cincinnati. It has so many different things in there. In terms of the actual gentrification and the erosion of Black people, how pressing is it up there in the area right now? Would you say?
Well, it started in an area called Over the Rhine. It was a community where I happened to reside at the time, and it's been a calculated attack against, especially Black property owners. And as we all know, the way to create generational wealth is to be able to pass on land and property to our descendants. Well, we've got a very aggressive buildings and inspections department who has been upheld by the county courts and has targeted people. My family being one of those families that was targeted. Just to give you a brief background, they came in and declared that my home was vacant. When we were still living there, I was not an absentee landlord, but the county then in turn used that information to say that I had abandoned my property, even though I notified them in writing. Went in and talked to city officials. We did everything that we were supposed to do. Well, and to make a long story short, in 2015, we were made homeless, and I didn't even know that it was getting ready to happen. And we went to certain organizations, and they shall remain nameless, at this point, because it's not going to do any good to bring them forth. Their records speak for themselves, but they basically, said what a shame it was and twisted their lips and walked away. So it's been that type of behavior that has been tolerated by the petty bourgeoisie, in the city, the so-called people in positions of trust, and those who say that they represent our best interests. And now, all of a sudden, with this council that's on board now, they want to make an apology, but an apology made without any sort of atonement or reconciliation or restoration for the harm that has been done is basically rhetoric and mute, and it's not going to go anywhere except for the microphone that it was pronounced on. So we're looking for some tangible change. We're looking for the opportunity to have the type of resources that we need to make our family whole. And we go by 4 R's to reclaim, restore, rebuild, and repair, because we know that it's going to take those things to make us whole again. And if the powers that be are really serious about what they say they want to see happen, then they'll make sure that we get all the tools and resources that we need in order to make it happen. We're not asking for people to come in and rescue us, right? We know enough people who have skills and expertise and that kind of thing that we could put, some solution-based approaches together, solution-based projects together. But unless we have some resources, it's going to all be for naught. It's just going to be, it's going to look really nice on paper, but unless it actually has some assets attached to it, that's all it's going to be.
All right. Thank you, Minister Ali. Now, Minister Ali, did you get a chance? Because I know you were supposed to get a chance to, you're going to try to watch the actual Tethers documentary as well, too. Did you get a chance to look at that?
Yes, I did.
And I just want to get your opinion on that. How do you feel about the actual Tethers documentary?
the Tethers documentary, I think, is a conversation that needs to be had amongst us. And the brother who is running for, I think it's some sort of position in his.
You talk about Marcel Dixon?
Yes, he's running for office. He has some very valid points. One, we don't want to exclude the people that look like us, but we don't want to give them so much power that, we get overshadowed again, and this time just by the people that happen to be of our skin tone, So I thought it was a very good documentary. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it spoke a lot of truth. We often get blamed for being oppressed for 400 years in an environment that we didn't necessarily ask for, and looked at a certain way, not only by, the so-called racist and white, I guess, if you will, generation of people, but by our own people, as if we don't get out and work hard, as if we don't get out and try to make a difference in our families, in our communities. But we've been generationally oppressed, and I've heard it referred to as arrested development, and it really is a status of a state of arrested development, and it's been that way. Dr. Joy DeGruy speaks about post-traumatic slave syndrome, and it's something that we really haven't dealt with, whether it be through the criminal justice system, whether it be through, generational so-called curses, whether it be through the educational system. Like, we've got a comprehensive approach that we need to be looking at to formulate some sort of solution. So, yeah, I think the Tethers documentary was on point. I think that it brought forth some very valid points. And those are points that we need to discuss, but we need to discuss it amongst us first.
Thank you. Now, I'm going to get right back to you, but I see we got somebody up here, Stanford. And I'm wondering, is this person an actual legit person here? Is this person a troll? Because they have no followers. They're not following anybody. So, as always, I'll go ahead and give caution to the wind and see exactly what this person has to say. But I'm doubting if this is an actual real person. So let me go ahead. I see Brother Original coming up here, but let me Stanford poll. I'm going to go ahead and let Stanford say, come up here and see what Stanford has to say as well too. Because like I said, the person I don't see him right this second.
He's valid. He's with me.
Oh, okay. Because I know we have a lot of people that come up in the spaces and they troll and stuff like that as well too. So Stanford, my apologies. I definitely didn't mean that, but up in the spaces we have people that come up here. I don't see him now. So I hope. I think he dropped back down to listen. I didn't definitely mean to run you off, Stanford, but I know this has been a very, very, very touchy issue right here. I've seen a bunch of posts for the actual documentary and against the documentary as well, too. As you could imagine, you have a number of people from the diaspora that's not pleased with this, that feel like, hey, this is constantly like this jabbing back and forth. So there are a bunch of comments I have read where people saying these MFs don't have anything else better to do than actual make a documentary of the crap that they be saying in the Twitter spaces. Just for argument, I just have to let people know that Marcel is not the one. He is not the one that made this. To my knowledge, it was a college student. I believe his name is Drayon Blackett. I could be wrong, but I believe he's an actual filmmaker. Marcel pretty much just, I guess, served as you could say as a narrator or a guest speaker in the actual documentary. So he is not the actual person that actually created this documentary. He is featured in it prominently, but he's not the one that actually created this actual documentary. So I know a bunch of people saying, well, Marcel is the one that actually came up with this documentary, and that is not the case. I know people are upset, and Marcel pointed to some historical things. He pointed to different cities and towns here in Florida. Overtown, he talked about that. That was one of the at one time Overtown was considered the Harlem of the South. Overtown is here in Florida. Overtown is in the Dade County region, Miami. Overtown, since I've been alive, Overtown has been a rough area. It has been it's a place that you have to really be careful with. But at one time, it was a thriving area. And he spoke about how, through the highway system and putting a I-95, running it straight through the actual city, pretty much destroyed that city, destroyed the wealth and everything else, the land that the property owners had, which was an occurrence that happened all throughout the nation, north, south, east, west. When you had these thriving black areas and towns, the government would go ahead and they would find ways to go ahead and to shortchange people and to do them in. So he mentioned that. Now I think one thing people may, you may have some brothers and sisters from the diaspora that may be upset about it, because he was saying that, hey, if anything, if there's a debt to be repaid to those people, just using overtime as an example, then yeah, that is strictly dealing with Black Americans, that was here in the country at that time. So I don't really understand how you can get upset with that point, because that's factual. Now, if you had any Black people that was in the area or whatever, and they were already in this country, they would also be included as Black Americans as well too. So I don't really know how people could really get upset about that. How they, because he pointed to a number of towns, and let's be also real here. Overtown, like I say, was considered the Harlem of the South, but people know more about Rosewood, which is in North Florida, than they do Overtown. Rosewood, because we had a movie about it that John Singleton made, that you had Ving Rhames playing and that you had John Voight playing. And so when you think about it, I mean, this is just Florida. A number of cities in the Carolinas, a number of cities in Georgia, and all throughout the South had thriving townships that were decimated, by federal and state government.
Absolutely. We saw urban renewal. We had 3 thriving communities right up north of the river, uptown and Little Africa. That as happened there in Overtown, when they got ready to run the railroads, they displaced hundreds of families. And I believe the brother said that at one point we had over 50 Black Wall Streets, and just over Tulsa valued over $60 million at that time. So can you imagine, had we been left to our own resources, where those places would be now? So, I mean, we've been cheated across the board from having thriving lives and being able to live and prosper as other communities have.
One thing I found fascinating, and I like the actual documentary, it was kind of like you had Marcel speaking, but then you had the actual, I don't know if he was a Nigerian brother or not. He was giving his point of view about Black Americans, which I found almost like a comedy skit, almost, how he was saying how he felt about Black Americans and from his point of view of being a Nigerian immigrant. So I found that part to be fascinating as well too, that I think you actually had 2 cats that was in there. You had the main cat that was speaking all the time and telling his feelings about Black Americans and as compared to Nigerians, and some of the stuff that I'm seeing online and stuff, and I see people saying that, hey, the documentary wasn't accurate, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. So I would like for anybody that was actually saw the documentary actually point out, if you had a problem with it, what did you have a problem with? What inaccuracies did you see up in the actual documentary? Now, one thing I found fascinating, Marcel said, hey, just because you're an immigrant doesn't mean that you're a tether. And not only that, but he pointed out that, there in this country, we have our own version, but he was trying to say you have coons. If you're domesticated, you're a coon here. If you're foreign, you're a tether. So what he was trying to say was, hey, basically, we have the same situation here, except, ours are coons, and yours are tethers. I see a lot of times online sometimes that I think people do throw the tether word around. Like sometimes because somebody's has an immigrant background, or maybe be an immigrant themselves, if that person isn't trying to do anything to undermine, Black Americans in this country, that person's not a tether simply because they're an immigrant. I myself, I don't use the word tether. I think one time somebody online called me a tether, and I called him a tether back. But I particularly don't really say tether this or tether that or whatever. That's just me. But I know a lot of people do. So my thing is that, hey, if a person, just because a person is born in another country or whatever, that doesn't make a person a tether if that person is not doing anything to undermine Black Americans. So that's how I feel about that. And I think sometimes you got a lot of people kind of, using it way too much. Like, hey, I think he may be wearing the word out for what it's supposed to actually mean. But there are black people, and I like to say that there are black people in the diaspora that are down with black Americans. And those black people, people don't like. Somebody was talking about Farrakhan earlier, and they were saying that Farrakhan, is from the Caribbean and this and that or whatever. But Farrakhan is not quote unquote a tether, which I would agree. I mean, Farrakhan has always been for the betterment of black people as a whole. Even though he's not an American born black person, he's a black person that supports black people in general. So I don't think you could ever call Louis Farrakhan, in my personal opinion, a tether. I said we got Cardell up here, and we got Cece. Cardell, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, Twitter? What's up, everybody? Hey, I just want to talk about the word tether and how it can sometimes be loosely thrown around, but you have me over here rolling when you said somebody called you a tether and you called them the tether back. I was over here crying. I ain't gonna hold you. Yeah, I think when it comes to the word tether, for the most part, overall, we are using it correctly. We are applying it correctly. I think when it does get, a few times it does get thrown out there loosely, I think we gotta understand is that we're in the heat of the moment. Right now, we're trying to delineate and get the reparation and bills that we need. So, with that being said, there will be maybe one or two casualties, unfortunately. But what's one or two compared to them saying that we're all bullet bags and stuff like that? There's just a lot. I just don't think it's that fair. I don't see it happening at the rate to what the tethers actually throw on us, if I make sense.
No, and I feel you. I feel you. You make sense as well too. And here's the thing: it's not a one-way thing. Like a lot of times, people are saying, and it seems like it's almost with the attitude that, hey, like when it's concerning Black Americans, like, oh well, you guys should know better. You shouldn't even indulge in that. Well, it takes two to party. So if both, if you don't want Black Americans to respond, hey, at the same time, don't, like you say, a body bag. It's nothing funny about somebody being, shot down by the police and you making a joke out of that. That really, that really does bother a lot of people. That bothers me. It's nothing joking about that when you've had Black men, Black women, Black children gunned down in the streets like that. So to make us a butt of a joke or something like that, I don't appreciate that personally. At the same time, like I said, you said there's going to be some casualties or whatever. My thing is just, hey, like, for the people, like I say, I just the term, and like you say, I just don't believe in just throwing it out there loosely. If it applies to a person and you want to say that, that's one thing. But just because somebody was born in another country, that definitely doesn't make them a tether.
I agree with you with that. I have nothing against that. I'm just talking about how I'm just talking about the overall landscape of what's going on right now. No, I wouldn't just call somebody a tether if they're not a tether. But yeah, I agree with that. And with that, I'm land my plane there.
Thank you. It's been a minute, bro, but I'm glad to hear from you. Hope everything is well. Let me go ahead and get to Cece. Cece, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, Newstoter, how are you?
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good. Peace to the room. I thought that I have an expanded definition of tether, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I thought tether, the expanded version, was particularly melanated immigrants that tether themselves to our culture, that pretend to be us, act like us, culturally appropriate our culture, also while undermining us. Like it's a two-part thing for me.
I think that would also apply as well too, Cece.
Yeah, because by the true definition, white people are tethers. Everyone tethers to our culture, right? But with that's particularly the Africans, the fact that, you have, what is the guy's name? Akon, it's a light-skinned Argentini, and these politicians, people who make their money off of our culture or have been elevated from all of our accomplishments, so that they're tethering to us. while undermining us. And to the point about the documentary, I thought it was objective. Like Marcel was explaining what a tether is, and then he was dispelling, some of the stereotypes. And I like the way that the producer director edited it, because then he would go cut to the African guy saying all of these stereotypical things about us. And, like, for instance, something I can't kind of wrap my mind around is they act like we're walking around the United States poor, broke, living in slums. They keep saying, you guys don't take advantage of your opportunities. You're not accomplishing anything. You're the only one, you're being held back by yourselves. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, we are a successful group of people, especially given, the circumstances under which we live. So that was my little contribution.
All right. Appreciate that, CC. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get to Jay Winfield. Jay Winfield, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, what's up?
Greetings, brother.
So I saw the documentary, and I'm gonna just be honest. Like, I wasn't too impressed. Like, if anything, I would just, it was just kind of indifference to what I saw. Because, honestly, what I saw in the documentary is, what I see on Twitter every day. So my thing is, like, I was expecting more than one person to be speaking on a topic. And, like, when people make, claims and assertions to have it backed by, like, researching, data and analytics and stuff like that. Usually, I'm just speaking from, looking at the documentaries and things of that nature. But another thing that I also just got an issue with is just, like, the whole, like, white supremacy thing where Marcel was saying, like, we're too focused on white supremacy. We need to be focused on anti-Black Americanism. And I'm just saying that from, like, a perspective of, reading Nellie Fuller and Dr. Wilson and things of that nature. And, once you take the focus off white supremacy, then you, just don't have your eye on the ball. But, other than that, that's just me. I'm probably going to be the only one who stands out with that opinion. It's just the same stuff I see on Twitter, just put in the documentary. So that's just me. My thing is that what I wanted the documentary to be was, like, more people speaking on the subject, and not just from, like, maybe, like, 1-2 people from the whole documentary. But that's just my opinion. So that's all I have to say.
All right. Appreciate it. Hey, it's your opinion. You got it. You're welcome to share your opinion. So thank you for coming up to speak, Jay. Let me go ahead and get to Rera. Rera, what's going on? How you doing?
Hey, Newstoter. Hey, fam. How's everybody?
What's up now?
I watched the documentary. I don't know a way to describe it, because I love Marcel. That's my dude. But it was juvenile. It could have been on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? It didn't have to, like, do time. But I'm happy that it did, so that they can make some money or whatever. Get it out there. But yeah, my definition of a tether, it's kind of, like, all over the place. CC did say, add that extra to it, but, like, we crack jokes about ourselves sometimes. I call my husband a tether because we haven't done our genealogy yet, So we play around with the word all the time. As far as the documentary, it was given Twitter. It was given these Twitter streets for me. I was like, these are the same talking points that I hear on Twitter, the same talking points coming from Black Americans, the same talking points coming from Africans or anybody else from the diaspora. So that's why I was like, yeah, Twitter's a real place. You can't tell me Twitter's not a real place. We got a documentary about tethers, a word that started on Twitter. So I just felt like the one guy was about to cry, like, through the whole, like, movie. The one, I think he had on, like, the dingy white t-shirt. He looked like he was going to cry through the whole movie. And he just kept on saying, like, really dumb stuff. It's like trying to have a conversation with them about anything that has to do with our culture or white supremacy. They just think that they know more. And so no matter what we say, they'll always come back with, some weird shit. I'm sorry to cuss. Just some weird stuff. It's just like you never get a real answer. And I felt that was the same way in the documentary. It's just like, yeah, Black Americans are lazy. Well, prove it. Where's your facts? Where's your receipts? Yeah, well, Black Americans, they are just all baby mamas. Prove it. Where's your receipts, bro? Like, you don't have to prove it to me, because I just don't see it. I mean, I see the evolution in Black people, especially here in America. We have to evolve every year. Like every 10 years, we have to evolve to stay out of the system, to try to get a leg up on the system. We have to constantly keep evolving. And so for people to come over here and say, oh, well, you guys just aren't taking advantage of your resources or opportunities, it's very disingenuous. And the last thing I'll say is that, it's one thing to be coming from diaspora and having all this vitriol towards us. And it's another thing, being an African American, a Black American, for me, I feel really bad about it. I'm like, damn, I didn't think they didn't like us. And it's really disheartening. And I still haven't really dealt with it. Like, it's like sometimes I'm mad and then sometimes I'm not, because I feel bad because of like the situation that they're in, over there. But don't bring that shit over here and now you mad at us because we invented how shit to survive. So I'll land there. Thank you, Newstoter, for allowing me to speak.
No problem, sister. And before I get to the next speaker, Sonny, I just want to say this: if we have any folks from the diaspora that want to come up here and speak as well, too, feel free. We'll definitely be respectful. Come up here and voice your feelings about the actual documentary. I don't know how many of our folks from the diaspora actually watched it, but if you have if you have something you'd like to say about it, definitely come on up here and speak as well, too. I'll say this right here about the documentary. Like I said, Marcel is not the one who actually produced it or whatever. I believe the young man is a college student. So, I know people are saying, well, it's pretty much what everybody talks about on Twitter and this and that as well. But like you said, Rerod, this was going to a larger, a larger segment that a lot of people that don't have Twitter accounts, who may not be on social media like that, this may be the first time they ever heard about the actual, the whole term tether. So, I know, Jay was saying that he would have liked to see more speakers and stuff like that. And, I don't know what the young man's budget was. I don't know the time constraint and everything else he may have had on it as well, too. So I can definitely understand what you're saying about that as well, too. And maybe, a few more things to add to the actual documentary. But I think we got to remember that he's also in college, and, his main thing was like, let me go ahead and, try to get this out to as many people as possible who may have not, who don't even know what's going on social media, and who doesn't even know perhaps that you have this so-called quote unquote diaspora world in the social media world as well, too. So I just want to say that much real quick. Sonny, go ahead and unmute your mic. How you doing?
Yo, peace. What's good, Newstoter? How you doing? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You got it.
Good, cool. Yeah, peace to the family, man. I see a lot of the family in space. Shout out to everybody, all the speakers. Real quick, I thought that I definitely agree with Sister Cece said as far as like the definition of tether. I thought the definition of tether was, someone who emulates and undermines Black Americans. So I always looked at it like that. The emulating part is definitely, a vital aspect. As far as like being tethered. My thing is this, like, I don't, because I do right now. It's funny. This shit is funny. I'm seeing like a lot of backlash about this documentary on Twitter, on the timeline and stuff like that. And I don't really necessarily see like the backlash that, I guess people from the diaspora have, or from a Pan-Africanist point of view have, for people outside of Black American lineage, when they're speaking disparagingly about Black Americans, that energy is like never, reciprocated. We're always like, we're going too hard, or we're doing too much, but, nobody is ever, checking people who are in our country that we built, from free labor, through slavery. And nobody is checking these people to come over here disrespecting us in our homeland. And I just put it in the comment section, a tweet that I seen just this week from some lady. She said, so it's in the comment section, right in the purple pill. She said, Yanks at Carnival is weird as shit. LO, laughing my ass off. Let the culture celebrate as we always have. It's not for American Blacks. It's for Caribbeans, people who know their culture, and having a celebration about it. So yeah, I mean, I kind of think we kind of reached like a point where, you know, Black Americans are like kind of just putting their foot down. Even, you know, just the reading between the lines of that text of her saying, you know, I mean, as somebody that was born in the late '80s, I was born in '88. Somebody who's, you know, been around, I guess, for a while, you know, whatever terms you put that in. I've always heard growing up that we've never, like Black Americans, we don't have a culture. That's like always been a talking point. That's always been that Black Americans, they don't have a culture, and nobody ever checks these people, and they get to do this in our country. And I always, you know, I just find that crazy. But one thing I will say is that I've, you know, I like the Tether documentary. I thought it was cool. I like all of the, you know, the documentaries and the things that are coming out right now. You know, as far as like media goes, the $Silver Dollar Road, the back to you know, the damn, I forgot what was, I don't know how to make this, Black to South Power. Back the one about going back to the South, you know what I'm saying, the Black Americans and things like that. And I just like that we're like in a good space right now as far as like putting out material, putting out you know, documentaries and things like that, and kind of controlling the media. I'm definitely looking forward to the Dewan B documentary as well, because we're at war with, you know, Viacom, VH1, MTV, BET, people who are always putting out degenerative messages, putting Black Americans in a negative light. And I like that, you know, we're kind of just grabbing the wheel and putting out material, whether that be, you know, bigger projects or grassroots projects. We kind of need to, you know, kind of up the ante and let, you know, people know that we know we're going to be putting out grassroots projects, because he who controls media, you know, wins the war. And, you know, that's pretty much what I'm really liking about what's really going on right now. So I just landed right there. So
All right, appreciate that. And guys, make sure in the Jumbotron we have the other documentary in the title as well too. America's Truth, Cincinnati. That's maybe the fourth on the right hand side. So definitely go ahead and check that out. It's the video to the actual YouTube. Go ahead and check that video out as well too. It gives you an in-depth look on the history of Cincinnati and everything that's going on today in the actual city as well too, guys. So make sure y'all go ahead and check that documentary out as well too. Definitely do that. Let me go ahead and get to Marta. Marta, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yo, what's good? What's good? As somebody who did not see that movie, but I just read it, it's good to get a little bit of a insight to what I might see when it comes up. But about the term tether, a lot of these terms, this yank, this akata, these terms have been around for generations. You know what I mean? They've been saying it for generations. And I think the thing about Black American diaspora decided a long time ago that we were cultureless mules, people who don't, you know, who serve no purpose other than to be stepping stools. And he decided that a long time ago. It's like before my time, before your time, you could find derogatory statements about Black Americans going back to the 1890s. You know what I mean? This is not a new thing. What's new for us is just addressing it. And the thing we have to understand is it's going unchecked for so long. These terms for us and this attitude towards us has been so normalized that any defense of ourselves feels like an attack on it. That's what's really going on. Anytime you defend yourself against a non-Black Black American and you're doing anything other than getting on your knees and letting somebody step on you, it seems like an attack. That's the first thing. Something that Jay said about, you know, taking your eye off white supremacy or whatever and focusing on Black communities, whatever. It's my understanding, and I've been saying this for a long time, the second you choose to immigrate to the West, this is just my opinion on it. The second you choose to immigrate to the West and leave your country, you are submitted to white supremacy. That's just my opinion. You can't feed the empire and say you're against white supremacy. The difference with us, however, is that we've been here, we're born here, we're here before it's in the country, we didn't choose to be here. So our fight has always been inside. Our side has always been inside of the state. But the day you choose to leave your 95% black country, whatever, Jamaica, you leave Nigeria, and you're one of the best of that country, because as we all know, legal immigration is not cheap. So you're not getting these poor laborers that come here. It's not true. Never believe that shit. You're not coming over here with 5 cents in your pocket. Not believe that shit no more. What's going on is you're getting.
Hey, real quick, Marta, and everybody up in the space, guys, try not to curse, because we live streaming this on YouTube and we get knocked sometimes. So try not to curse, everybody. But go ahead.
Sure, my bad. This idea that people are coming here with 5 cents in their pockets, and I just came here. No, it's not true. We know that's not how it works. We're not believing that lie. I think the second you choose to do that, though, and you choose to come here and pay taxes here and support the imperialism here, the second you do that, I don't want to hear any talks about fighting against it. That's just my opinion. And the last thing, what I'm hearing about this documentary is that it's a little juvenile, it's a little childish. What I would tell you is that this can always just open the door for the conversation to be pushed forward, and look at it like that. It doesn't have to be this super innovative, super informative piece of work. As long as we're opening the door to this conversation, it allows the conversation to evolve, it allows the conversation to progress into what it can't be one thing one day. This situation that we're in, it should have been checked a long time ago. It should have been addressed a long time ago. But we're doing it now. We've got to be okay with that. The last thing I want to say about the definition of what it said, I've heard a bunch of definitions that are accurate. I don't use it for everyone. I don't think it's a term that should be used. I'll do one better. I don't think it's a derogatory. Honest with you. I don't look at it like I look at Yankee and Nakata, because Yankee and Nakata, if you notice, those are general terms for Black Americans. Whether it's a good Black American, bad Black American, prosperous Black American, to a lot of Caribbeans, a Yankee, if you're a millionaire or you've got 3 cents in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? Nakata, you could be a rich Black American or a poor Black American. You're still Nakata because you're still lost in no culture. I think the term tether is a true statement. I think there are a lot of tethers throughout history. I think Garvey was a tether. I think there are a lot of people who used us in our position to further whatever their agenda is. They've used us as vehicles for a long time and get wherever they have to go, because people, where they come from, are not able to get it where it needs to be. The reason that white Americans or white immigrants or whatever, Venezuelans, we don't use the term tether for them, it's mostly because they don't look like us. They don't check off for this on papers. They don't commit crimes, and all of a sudden, it's now a Black American statistic. They simply don't do that. Most of the Hispanics that I've seen, they're checking off as white on paper. You know what I mean? They're checking off as something other than Black on paper. So I think the term is a great term, and like I said, don't feel a way about using it. You don't use it as a general term. You use it for a very specific way of people treating us and acting towards us. And the response to it, like I said, landing here. The response to this word, right, is not genuine, because seems like every group of people around the world has, Black or white, whatever, they have a term for us, and we have no terms for them. The response to this word is only because this behavior from these people, you know what I'm saying, that's going unchecked for a long time. So don't feel no way about standing on this about it. I'll learn there. That's it.
All right. Appreciate that. Thank you. Again, like I say, I want to just touch up real quick on the actual documentary. Like I say, I believe this is a college student. We don't know what the funds were and everything else. Give the young man some credit, whether you agree with the documentary or not, whether you're a fan of it or whatever, whether you think that it could have stood to have a better quality production behind it or so on. Hey, give him credit though. You're talking about somebody that's in college. He got somebody to be on this documentary that ran for the U.S. Congress. So you kind of have to give him a little bit of credit, whatever. And we know sometimes documentaries are nothing more than just interviews, and this is what it was. He was interviewing somebody who knows about the actual term, and hey, it is what it is. I'm sure it could have been better. I'm sure it could have had more money or dollars behind it. We don't know what kind of shoestring budget may have been involved. But like I say, this is a young filmmaker. So, just on that note, I don't know exactly, like I say, the time constraints and everything else, the budget, whatever it was, to have something that's on Amazon Prime and, and it's getting a lot of attention for people on social media, on Twitter, and I'm sure other social media platforms as well too. And the brother, I believe Marcel is going to have him on a Twitter space tomorrow night. So y'all make sure y'all check that out. And then you can go and, potentially ask him questions and stuff as well too. You can ask the brother exactly what's what on that part as well too. So let me go ahead and get back to Quardell. Quardell, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Yeah, just real quick, I just want to say a few more things before I'll go back down to the listener section. I believe the young man that made the documentary is a high school student. I think.
Oh, he's in high school?
Maybe.
He's a college student.
Okay.
Oh, he's a college student. I thought that because I think that's who most of Marcel's students are. That's why I thought he was in high school. But anywho, I thought the documentary was a good. It's definitely a great introductory piece to let the broader population know what's going on. I mean, the young man took initiative, and for I guess whatever budget he was dealing with, I thought it was a great piece. Lastly, to talk about the term tether, I thought a tether was someone who looks like us but doesn't necessarily emulate us, but that person is down to undermine us in anything that we do. That's what I thought a tether was, but I'm gonna land there.
All right, appreciate that, bro.
Newstoter.
Who's speaking real quick? Oh, okay. Go ahead, Minister Ali. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that one of the other things that he said was that we are exploited, and there was the perception from, I believe his name is Obi, that one, we don't work hard, and two, the reason why we've been here for generation after generation is because we took a knife to a gunfight. And, I would agree to a certain extent that that's a very naive approach or opinion of our current condition here in the United States. We've survived slavery, debtor's prison, Jim Crow, vagrancy laws, black codes, redlining, gentrification, mass incarceration, the war on drugs, the crack epidemic. And, it seems like these things have a tendency to just change their suit, but to evolve, and then we're right back fighting the same fight again. So, as I said earlier when we first came on, this is a conversation that we definitely need to have, but we need to have it amongst us so that we can gain a better understanding, because just as many people who are, I guess, coming over here for a better life, we've got people that are leaving here to go repatriate and discover, put some work behind having a new life and back on the continent. So, I mean, if we're going to discuss this, we need to discuss it to work on some solutions, not to, I guess, bait each other and find more division, because we all know that one of the strategies of war is to divide and conquer. And with that, I yield.
Yes, ma'am. Real quick, I see somebody on Twitter saying, you're saying, what is the name of the documentary? There's two documentaries in the title. The documentary everybody's talking about right now is called Tethers, and that's on Amazon Prime. Tethers, that's on Amazon Prime. Those the actual titles for the actual documentaries are in the actual description and title itself. The other documentary is America's Truth, Cincinnati. That's on YouTube. So you have Tethers, which is on Amazon Prime, and you have America's Truth, Cincinnati, which is on YouTube. So let me just go ahead and just say that real quick. Cece, I know you had your hand up. Did you want to say something again, or you put it down?
Oh, no, I did. I was just waiting. I just wanted to comment on a few things like the production value. I wasn't hard on the young man because, you could tell it was a shoestring budget. People, it's a student film. We don't know how much he studied or whatever, but I look at it as a tool, and I even used it today. People were arguing on the timeline, melanated immigrants against us. And, somebody from Africa said, "What's a tether?" And I said, "Oh, hey, go watch this documentary." And they said, "Okay, thanks." So I think it's a tool that we can use, so we don't really have to go, argue with people. It's like, here, this is what bothers us. watch this. I just look at it as a mini capsule film. And then, some people said, oh, it's childish. I don't know if they meant the content or the production value, but I didn't find the production value, the content childish, because, Marcel was able to go through a history timeline. He was able to point out many things that are stereotypes that are perpetuated by, melanated immigrants. I love how, like I said before, the director spliced, edited it in a way. I forgot who just spoke, but like when he said, yeah, you guys, we knew how to hide. And he was very proud. And we pride ourselves on being fighters. And he said, well, you guys probably had knives, but the ones like us, we hid. And that's how we were able to stay. So I think it's good for the general public to see this simple mindset that a lot of these people have. And then how ahistorical they are. He's talked about we should have ran and hid. We're going to hide from the Africans that sold us. They're just thinking white people came and snatched us. So it was just sad to see how ill-informed he is, and I think that's why I like the documentary. People can see and hear with their own eyes what these people are saying and how just way off base they are. And then I like how the director was able to show I thought it was clever the way they are so dismissive of our struggle, because they, to me, see the United States as a place paved with gold, a place of milk and honey, where the benevolent white people have given us so many opportunities and we've squandered it. But then Marcel said something, and then he edited and went right to the guy saying, oh, we have corruption and we have, tribalism. So he can understand the mechanisms that keep them down, but not us. So, I liked a lot of points that were made. And then a couple of people said, oh, it's the same stuff we talk about on Twitter. Well, most things we talk about on Twitter, there's a documentary about it. And that's the point of a documentary, is to highlight, whatever the topic is. I like that it holds a mirror up to them. And then, I have family members that when I talk to them about this, I have a cousin in Houston, right? And she's calmed down, but she refuses to accept that there's this rift going on. And she's like, we don't have that problem in Houston. And I said, well, how would you know? You're in a bubble. And she's well off. So I'm like, you're not anywhere struggling. You're in a bubble. You don't even really know any Africans. You don't really know anybody other than Black Americans. So when people can hear it, for themselves, I think that's important. I'm about to close. Another thing I wanted to say is also, this also highlights how they're very protective of their culture, and they gatekeep it, and they make a big distinction between us and them. But then when they get into our music or come to the United States, everything we have belongs to all other melanated immigrants. And what's his name? Marcel touched on that. I think he brought up the Juve thing with Nicki Minaj. But if we turn around and do anything, like trying to participate in any part of their culture, it's a problem. So it was a short little documentary, but I just think it touched on so much. And then we told them on Clubhouse in 2020, when they first started coming at us, it was way worse than it is now. So we told them, if you guys don't fall back, it's only going to get worse, because we weren't as aggressive then as we are now. And so we kept telling them, all we're going to do, you don't understand Black Americans. We're fighters. We're resilient. We're just going to keep building momentum. And this documentary is a testament to that. Somebody mentioned Juwan's documentaries coming out, Tariq's documentary. We're telling each other about existing documentaries. And then we have this. So we're doing what we said we were going to do. And for me, some people get upset with me because I'll say, I'll post things on the timeline about Africans. Oh, why do you have to do that? Because you have to fight fire with fire. And I think we're really setting the place on fire now. So thank you. Peace, love, and reparations.
Thank you, Connie. Appreciate that. Real quick, I see DJ's made his way up in here, so shout out to DJ. I see Marcel at the bottom. Shout out to Marcel for actually participating in it as well too, and shout out to the young man. Like I say, whether you saying that people, like I say, the young brother could have been on the shoestring budget, and it was a short documentary. It was like 50 minutes, so it wasn't a really long documentary as well too. So I don't know if this was his first project or whatever, so you have to kind of go ahead and tip your cap to him. Real quick, I see we got the Black Vanguard, and anybody else that wants to speak, definitely come on up here as well too. Like I said, tomorrow night, Marcel, he'll have the young brother on his in his Twitter space, so definitely you guys feel free to ask him questions. I believe his name is Dreyan Blackett, so definitely go ahead and ask him some questions. He'll be up in Marcel's Twitter space. I believe it starts at 8:00 tomorrow, so definitely y'all check that out as well too. Of course, we'll be holding the Twitter space as well too, because y'all know Newstoter normally Monday through Thursday, but we will not be doing any spaces Wednesday or Thursday because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So tomorrow night will be our last Twitter space for the week, just to let everybody know that real quick. I see we got Brother Original up here as well too. I know people talk about and I'm gonna get to you, Black Vanguard. I want to say this real quick. I know people, they mentioned the actual the African dude, the Nigerian dude. I believe he may have been Nigerian, but I also wonder now. I wonder like the actual part that he was actually doing. The actual quote unquote being the actual tether, so to speak, in the actual documentary. If that was also for the actual documentary purposes as well too. So I wonder if that's if I don't know if that person felt that way actually, or was that person supposed to be portraying a part and a character in the actual documentary, being quote unquote the devil's advocate? So I wonder about that as well too. I don't know for sure. You definitely have to ask him, but I just want to go ahead and put that part out there because I know a lot of people, some of the comments like Connie and everybody was saying that he was talking about that he should have ran and this and that or whatever. I don't know how you can really run when your village or tribe may be getting raided on by a couple hundred people or 50 people or whatever, and other people got guns and they catch you off guard. I don't know how you can really run. Simply, you just would have been fortunate not to actually get caught up. But these are some of the things that you hear. Now, also, like I say, I want to also get some people from the diaspora, actually some melanated Black folks from the diaspora, if they don't mind coming up here. Like I say, definitely you'll have the ability to come up here and speak. I'm not going to interrupt you. Nobody's going to come off their mic and interrupt you as well too. So definitely feel free to come on up here, and definitely because I would love to get their point of view on the situation as well too. So I would love to go ahead and get their point of view and see what they feel about the label, the title of being called a tether. So I definitely want to get their point of view. And like I said, also guys, make sure y'all check out the America's Truth Cincinnati documentary that's up in the Jumbotron. That's the 4th on the right-hand side. Minister Ali, she was talking about that earlier before many of you guys got up in the actual space. So definitely check that out. That's on YouTube. You can go there. You can check that out as well too. I got the actual Tether documentary up in the Jumbotron as well too. For those that have not seen it, of course, like I said, that's on Amazon Prime as well too. So let me go ahead and get to the Black Vanguard. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's everybody going?
Hey, what's up now?
Yeah, well, the documentary is very well needed, though, because a lot of our people do need to see. A lot of people don't realize, understand that, too, is that because we view for a very, very long time, a lot of foundational Black American freemen, whatever term we like to call ourselves, a lot of people view everybody Black all the same. See, a lot of our people don't understand. You go to a lot of these Caribbean, African countries, they're very tribalistic, they're very xenophobic where they come from. Like, you go over there to a lot of these Caribbean countries like the Bahamas. I just came from the Bahamas like a few months ago. The Bahamians over there in the Bahamas, they actually deporting a lot of Haitian Jamaicans out their country, though. So, yeah, they don't see everybody as the same. And also, if you a Bahamian going to Jamaica, Bahamians allow other Caribbeans to represent them. Same thing, Africans. Igbo can't misrepresent Yoruba. Yoruba can't misrepresent a Fulani or a Hausa. See, for a very, very long time, we allow people to pretend like they want us, though, and reap the benefits of it, and then they have nerve to call us lazy. That's the term they like to call it. That's nothing but a projection where they said we lazy. We one of the most hardworking people on the face of this planet. We had a lot of stuff sabotaged. We the only group of people that have businesses, whole entire towns sabotaged. I had a conversation with an African talking about Black America lazy. What I told him is that we built this country from the ground up. I said, how come you here in America, how come you can't go back to your country, build up and fix your economy over where you come from? And he had to make excuses, though, that we strive. I said, no, you're not. You're not thriving in your own country where you come from. Your country, tribal wars and genocides and all that stuff going on. It was an Ethiopian I had a conversation with, though, too. I told him, Ethiopia, you have a whole entire genocide going on in Ethiopia. How come you not go over there and try to stop and fix that? They like to talk about the government, though. Here in America, as one of the most oppressive governments in the world, we stay and fight. We fighters, though. And they like to say, how come you didn't run and hide? That's not in our DNA and nature run. We not cowards like these Tethers are. That's all I got to say for now.
All right. Appreciate that. Black Vanguard. Real quick before I get to Marcel, Brett Nilla, I saw that you are your first time speaker. I don't know if you used to speaking or not in the spaces. Did you want to say something real quick, or you just are you good?
Hi, you said it. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Hello to the co-host and hello to everybody doing. Marcel, you know I love you. But anyway, like I said, I saw the documentary last night. I listened to your Space News talk last night, and you sent out a reminder about what this space was going to be about tonight. I'm like, oh yeah, right. And I never buy anything from Amazon because they don't treat us right. But I did buy that one. And I thought it was very good. I wanted to touch on some of the things, but Miss Cece, love her too. She touched on it, and I think she indicated that someone else had touched on it prior, that how the guy was saying that it was so much smarter than us because they hid. And they didn't get captured, but y'all wanted to go fight the white man, and that's why you was captured. It's like, no, it wasn't with us, not foundational freemen Black Americans that hid or wanted to fight the white man. It was the Africans who wanted to fight, and maybe they got captured, but the whole point being is, you try to project stuff and point it towards us. That's not how that whole thing, and he never mentioned how some of those people sold us into slavery or their ancestors into slavery, and that's how all of this came about. But then, again, someone else mentioned how when we mentioned the condition of what's going on in their country, even now they're like, oh, it's not us, it's the government, oh, it's not us, it's the crooked leaders, but when we say we got corrupt government leaders, no, you're lazy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So that's all I'm saying. But it's a pleasure to speak to you. And Marcel, good work. I love you. And thank you for sharing that. I purchased it. And when we have Thanksgiving dinner, that's what we're going to be watching on Thanksgiving Day.
All right. Thank you, sister. Seems like you're going to have something for the entire family to watch. So thank you for coming up. I know you say you're the first time speaker, so it's definitely good to hear from you. If you have not, if anybody who have not already, that's up in the space. We have the YouTube channel up in the Jumbotron. That's up in the Jumbotron, I believe, on the far right-hand side. Definitely go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Also, for those that can support us on Cash App, $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. If you do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, the Cash App is on the screen, and the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual Jumbotron. Is up in the actual description as well, too. So we got Marcel up in here, so I definitely want to hear what Marcel's got to say. Marcel, I appreciate you coming up in the space tonight. How you doing?
Hello, Newstoter. I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good.
Excellent.
Marcel, because I know you had your hand up, and I know you're probably pretty busy, but what did the young brother approach you about this? How did this all come about?
Yeah, I got an email from him asking him to interview me. He had interviewed me before, okay, for during my first my first campaign. He had interviewed me before, and then I got an email from him telling me that he was working on a documentary for school, because he's in school. I don't know if it's for communications, it's for film production, maybe it's all of the above. He had interviewed me for a documentary he was doing on Tethers. So, of course, I readily accepted. He said he would come down to me. He's in Columbia, which is like 2 hours from me, so it's not necessarily far. He said he would come down to my region of South Carolina, the Low Country. So that beautiful scenery y'all see, that's my home. That's how the Low Country looks.
Hey Marcel, in terms of the actual support and the blowback, like how much have you received on Twitter? I know a lot of people are big upping you, but how much of a blowback have you received from the documentary as well, too?
I have not noticed any blowback at all.
No, okay, because I know I know quite a few people have been in a frenzy as well too. Talking about the actual documentary. A lot of people, I guess, they didn't like the fact that this thing is on Amazon Prime. They felt that, hey, all of the actual arguments and disagreements that's in these Twitter spaces are now on one of the largest media platforms in the world, and you know. I really don't, and I guess a lot of people didn't really appreciate that as well too. But I know you pretty much don't care what most people think, so it was definitely good to get your point of view on it. Go ahead, Marcel. I see you unmuted your mic.
Oh, really? I didn't know there's been any blowback. I've only seen positive response to it, so I'm shocked to hear that.
Oh yeah, I've read a few comments and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you saw, but I've read a few comments where people they were upset and they were saying that basically we need to worry about instead of worrying about white supremacy, you're up here, you're attacking other black folks as well too. And I thought you made it pretty plain and clear when you were saying that you didn't feel that all black immigrants were tethers, and that's another thing that when the space started, I said that as well too, that just because somebody is born, a black person is born in another country, that does not make that person quote unquote. And I don't really run around. I don't say the word tether, basically, like I say, but I know a lot of our folks do. But quote unquote, that's not supposed to make somebody a tether. Just because you were born in a foreign land. To me, from my understanding, a tether is somebody. Bratnell, I think you got to mute your mic, sweetie.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking to myself. Oh, I'm sorry.
No problem. But quote unquote, to me, somebody quote unquote that's supposed to be a tether is somebody that undermines Black America, pretty much stabs them in the back whenever it's convenient, and that's really just a pain in the behind. Somebody that no matter how no matter what we try to do, they're undermining the actual Black struggle here, and they take it for granted. So that was to me, and I know everybody's given an example of what they felt an actual tether is. And just in your definition, what do you consider a tether to be?
Well, first of all, that's the thing that gets me. People are mad because supposedly it's bringing what they feel as Clubhouse Twitter interactions to life. First of all, no, these interactions started off. They started long before Twitter and Clubhouse. If there was not disrespect and disdain being shown by some Black immigrants and their descendants to Black Americans, freemen, FBA, then we would not have this issue to begin with. No one has anything to say when Black Americans, freemen, FBA, are being slandered, disrespected, and degraded in their own home country towards people they've been nothing for but supportive of. When people have a problem, we start to hit back. Well, guess what? There are people mad, stay mad. War is coming. Now, I want to make that point very clear. Second of all, I make the definition of tether very, very clear in the documentary. Now, people are too stupid to understand that. That's their fault. And like I said, they'll just have to stay mad. I made it very clear that a tether is a Black immigrant or a person who's a direct descendant of two black immigrants, or maybe they have one black immigrant parent, but one parent is maybe a black American who works against the interests of black Americans, who's hostile and really anti-black Americans. But at the same time, they're benefiting from the black American struggles and sacrifices. That's the tether. I even said at one point in the film that not all black immigrants are tethers, but tether is a word that specifically refers to an anti-black American immigrant. So therefore, all tethers are black immigrants, even though all black immigrants are not tethers. I can care less about the backlash. I'm going to continue standing my ground. You see, I'm pretty sure when I went public and said how I don't want to say lost my job, I had my job taken from me, some of those same tethers were celebrating. When I made it very clear that it was because of something that was racially motivated, and at first that's all I thought, that it was just racially motivated by anti-blackness. Come to find out, it was a whole political conspiracy to pretty much deprive me and to retaliate against me of my First Amendment right, because I went public criticizing James Clyburn, one of the most prolific politicians who has a pretty good substantial amount of power as a political candidate. I was speaking out against him. They didn't care about the fact that I was targeted in part because of my blackness, because that doesn't matter to them. Their first and foremost identity is an immigrant, whatever nationality they have, while sitting up in our country being anti-black American. I remember when Jordan Neely was strangled to death on that subway, and I even reached out to some of those tethers there in New York City and said, hey, what are you doing? You can put me in contact with? They can care less. The only time they even care about blackness is when it's time to be anti-black American. So I'm going to keep standing my ground. I have never not done that when it comes to my people and what's right.
All right.
Brother Marcel.
Thank you. Go ahead, Minister Ali. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm here to contribute conversation about Tether and documentary Out of My City. And one of the things that I heard you say in the documentary is about reparations for those who have been harmed. And the fact that we have a lot of immigrants, not only of melanated descent, but sometimes they're lucky to get across the border when they come over unescorted. But there is a lot of Mexican immigrants that are coming here. We're probably going to get some influx of people coming from Gaza eventually, especially if we happen to live in cities that consider themselves welcoming to that diaspora. But can you get into, how do you foresee us being able to not only, I guess, get the apology, because one of the things that was done by our city council here in Cincinnati is they apologized for destroying a portion of the West End Kenyan bar, and they apologized for it, but they haven't actually put any resources and assets behind the apology. And we know that an apology without atonement is just rhetoric. So, as someone who has ran for public office, how do you foresee us being able to come together, if we can, to make sure that reparative justice happens? And I yield.
One, we have to be unapologetic, and we have to be, and this is in no particular order, we have to be supportive and we have to be active. So the unapologetic one, some of us are so afraid of revealing our identities, afraid of using our real name, with all the positive response that has been towards this documentary, Tethers. I already have seen people, oh Lord, keep his name secret. Oh Lord, be careful, don't tell the young man's name. That's that scared Negro stuff that I'm sick of. But everyone wants to talk so tough. Some of the people afraid, have no hesitation talking tough to me, and you don't even know who they are. Okay? We have to be unapologetic. Our grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, and even parents in some cases, who are very active They put not just their faces out there, their identities out there, but their bodies out there. And they encourage some of the same things too, which I'm going through. Loss of opportunities, loss of jobs, this, that, forth, and the other. It's kind of selfish for us to want to maintain our personal comfort while our comfort as a people is not there, has never been there, and the little bit we had is vanishing as we speak. That's one. Two, we have to be supportive. Going back to being afraid, let's say this young man who's making this documentary, he's out the country right now, making a monthly documentary. He's standing his ground. He's a college student. You know, from my perspective, he's a child. Okay? And yet he's standing his ground. And people say, oh, Lord, tell him to be careful. Why does he have to be careful? Why can't we be there for him? Okay? I am fortunate to be fully employed, if you want to look at it that way, even though I'm back to teaching full time, which I never wanted to do. Wanted to get into cybersecurity, but I know it takes time to get in that industry. But we can't leave people who are standing up for us blowing in the wind. I was left blowing in the wind. I had to relocate. I had to find a job. I had to find legal defense. Not for one case, now two, three, really, because I have a case here at the state level. I was left blowing in the wind. People were supportive verbally and morally, but I was left blowing in the wind. No job opportunities. No help outside of a few people who personally helped me. And I really thank and love them to death. I was left on my own blowing in the wind. That's what we do to people who stand up for them. To stand up for us, excuse me. We usually leave them blowing in the wind. Going through hell as the backlash that we know they're going to incur in this country by standing up for us. Now, some of us have to be anonymous. Sometimes we need people to kind of be in the background. But that shouldn't be most of us. That should be a significant number of us. But some people are going to have to be that, what y'all call it, the ace in the hole. But a lot of people are ace in the holes, and they never come out that hole. So we have to be supportive. So that means the majority of us should be out there, front line. Our identities, face, and bodies out there. When they incur backlash, they should never wonder how they're going to provide for themselves, how they're going to provide for their families, where they're going to stay, who's going to keep them physically safe if it comes to that. They should never have to wonder how are they going to provide those things for themselves, their families, the ones they love. We should readily be ready to provide that, and we have not. We have failed in doing that. Because like I said, I'm looking at my own experience, I was left blowing in the wind. And that causes other people who really would want to speak up, it causes them to be afraid and hesitant from doing the same. And number three, we have to be active. The crazy thing, though, is you won't get the active part until you get the supportive part. We should be the candidates, or we should be an active member of a candidate's team. I am fortunate. I've had people volunteer to do phone banking. I have the wonderful Ms. Giselle who's helped me. A lot of y'all have reached out to help me, and I'm very, very supportive. However, it takes more than a one-time strike of lightning. It takes constant dedication. I am running again. If I don't win this particular shot, I might get one again. A lot of people who are elected right now who weren't even trying to do anything for us got elected their third time, their fourth time. I don't know what the future holds for me, but I know I'm not going to stop standing up for my people unapologetically, but it should not be me. It's easy for them to target us when it's only a few of us. They can target 5 of us. They can target 10 of us. But it's going to be a hell of a lot harder for them to target 11 of us running for office, whether that's on the local level, the state level, the national level. It's going to be a hell of a lot harder for them to target 855 of us. And there's way more than enough of us, even right here in this Twitter space, or right here on Twitter alone, to become active members, pushing us on a legislative political level, where we're actually running for office and pushing policy. Sometimes that wakes them up in and of itself. People can say what they want, but I can tell you this much. Here in South Carolina, people are talking about a lot more about reparations, those in the political space than they were before. I'm not going to say that's all because of me. I will never be so arrogant because all of us have played the role. But I will say in South Carolina, that's a large part because of me. However, I can also tell you I haven't been as present as I typically am because I'm just tired. I'm stretching myself too thin. So I'm focusing on getting my phone bank set up. That's where other people should come in. And I have some wonderful people here in South Carolina who are warriors. Hope they don't mind me saying their name, but Avia, Tyranny, Mario, Cherise, Portia, these are warriors who are out there for our people. But that's still not enough of us. We need a lot of us that Greg Marcel Dixon doesn't show up. Y'all are going to show up and holding that all to say it. So I can focus on setting up my phone banking. I can focus on partnering with PACs who want to support my campaign. I can focus on having one-on-one conversations with these presidential candidates. Even though I have not spoken directly with the candidate, I have spoken directly with the largest PAC and support one of them with the other. I'm speaking with a key member of his campaign. I need to be able to focus on those things as well as providing for myself at times. Because if I don't, I hate to say it, I'm going to be left blowing in the wind. So that's why it has to be more of us. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And another thing I had a lot of respect for you, Brother Marcel, is when you spoke about the fact that reparations is a debt, it's not a payment for racism. And I think that even though, I'm boots on the ground in my community, and even though we know that, it resonated differently to hear it the way that you put it, because I think that is why people choose to or not to support reparative justice, because they see it as a payment for racism versus a debt that is owed to us as a community. So I appreciate you and respect you, Brother Marcel, and I yield with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Ali. Cece, I see you got your hand up. Go ahead and unmute your mic.
Oh, okay, thanks. Back to pointing out some of the highlights of the documentary. Well, let me ask Marcel a quick question. Marcel, the two African guys, do you know how they came to be in the documentary?
I have no idea, but I do know that this college student, Rayon Blacken, who we know will meet tomorrow, the reason I'm in this space, people start thinking, oh, Marcel, you should wait into the space tomorrow and answer questions. Tomorrow's space will not be about me. I want y'all to meet the creator and director of the film. He's very young. Like I said, to me, he looks like a baby almost. That film, he looks like an absolute child. He is a very young man. I'm almost gonna say young boy. He's very young. He went to Nigeria actually with I think 2 additional people who helped him make the film. So you're right, so there was a shoestring budget, but he actually did go to Nigeria as interviewed Nigerians. I'm 100% positive there were Nigerians who did not share the sentiment of the 2 that were featured in the film. But he actually went to Nigeria and interviewed some people. Now, how they came about, I have no idea. There's some good questions I ask him tomorrow.
Will do. So one of the highlights, again, that I liked was, like I said, for me, this documentary is like holding a mirror up to melanated immigrants that are Tethers. And it holds a mirror up to the whole diaspora, because if you really think about it, it's so asinine. That's why so many of us were shocked at how much hate they seem to have for us and how we stay on their minds. So it's just amazing that these foreign groups of people have such disdain for us. So the one part that I liked was when he was discussing, I forgot which guy, but he was discussing the tribalism. And I've noticed when we engage them, whether it's on the audio app or, posting or whatever, they seem to really not grasp the concept that tribalism is not working for them. There's a good form of tribalism, but they're practicing very bad tribalism. And he went into this whole thing about how the Hausa, the Fulani, the Igbo, the Yoruba, whomever, they can't run for offices, you can't just go to somebody else's village and run for office. And I just find it odd that I even hear them bragging about it. They're like, well, we're tribal. And then them not seeing that they are literally bringing the same bad behavior that's tearing the continent down. I'm speaking about Africa more so than the Caribbean. but that it's tearing. Look at what's happening there, and they're bringing it here. We've never had to war with people with brown skin. We would have never thought that this would be a thing. And it's so disheartening and hurtful, especially given how much we've accomplished that makes it possible for the melanated immigrants to come to the U.S. and prosper. Like I said, for some reason, they don't understand that every opportunity they have is because we created the opportunity for us, and they're reaping the benefits. They think, oh, we're on TV. Well, we fought to be on television, Oh, we get master's degrees. Well, we fought to be educated and to go to college. And, they just don't know our history, and that, some people, I forgot the woman's name, when she was in college, they made her sit outside the classroom. She couldn't even sit with the white students. So they don't know all of the history and the stories and the horror that we've been through. And then to come and it's like a bandit coming in and grabbing all your stuff. And then tomorrow he drives by in your car and laughs at you. So anyway, I just like that the film, just shows a lot of the things that we talk about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Let me give a shout out real quick to EHZX. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. I see we got Original up here. Original, what's going on? Did you want to touch up and say something real quick? I'm not sure if Original is in the space. I see him here, but I'm not sure. Original, you up here? I see you up here. Did you want to say something? Okay, well, let me kick it back to Marcel. Like I say, guys, for anybody that wants to contribute tonight, Marcel, do you have a link to anything that you to your campaign, anything that you want to put up in the Jumbotron too?
Oh, sure. I want my donation link in the Jumbotron, even though I wanted to try to keep it full of documentary, but I'm always in need of donations because that's really how you move things forward. People might notice a bit more, not a lot now, but I'm a bit more low-key this time around. So I've really been focusing on local. Okay, I'm by myself. Everything doesn't get caught on camera. Everything's not going to be flashy. Everything's not going to be an engagement that might turn into a confrontation with an elected official or somebody who's running for elected office. Sometimes things will be you by your lonesome handing out flyers, no one there, and no one knows what you're doing, but you're doing it. I do want to see the county. That's the thing that gets me. You mentioned there's been a backlash. I haven't seen any of that, but if it has been, that shows that shows how skewed their loyalties are. You have full-blown tribal conflict in countries like Ethiopia. I visited Ethiopia. Absolutely loved it. A fascinating country. A mix of ancient, traditional, modern. I loved Ethiopia. But right now, in parts of Ethiopia, they have a full-blown tribal conflict. Okay? It's the same thing. You can look at countries such as the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's happening in a few. And in this case, I'm referring to African nations. Someone mentioned the Caribbean nations, where the Bahamas, they're deporting Haitians left and right. I went to the Bahamas. The anti-Haitian sentiment was strong. Okay, very, very strong. I've been to Haiti. They absolutely cannot stand the people from the Dominican Republic. Okay, and I understand why. Because people in the Dominican Republic are disgustingly nasty to Haitians. I've been in Nigeria. A lot of the tribes there cannot stand each other. And yet, they're mad because we are targeting not black immigrants, but black immigrants who are anti-freemen, anti-foundational black American, anti-black American. Notice, they're not targeting the behavior of these tethers who are against us. They're not worried about that. That doesn't make them angry. What makes them angry is us finally saying, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. Generationally speaking, some of our people went from reverence for black foreigners or black people of the land, reverence for the African continent, to saying, you know what? This has always been a one-sided relationship. Historically, if you look, black Americans have always, whether it was John Robinson who built a plane to fly over to Ethiopia at a time when the American government was stopping Black Americans from going to Ethiopia, who were signing up to help fight against the Italians. John Robinson built a plane and then taught Ethiopians how to build planes, how to fly them, so they can better defend themselves against the Italians. And that is what allowed Ethiopians to develop Ethiopian Airlines, which I have flown on a couple of their flights, which is one of the largest corporations in Ethiopia today. Whether it's some of the first freedom fighters during Africa's era of resisting the colonial political system that was imposed upon them, a lot of them were educated HBCUs that were started for freemen, okay? Whether it is us putting pressure on our government to put pressure on other governments in apartheid in South Africa, the audacity to think that we are to be quiet, just shut up and take it and not fight back. I want you to notice in those comments, I'm pretty sure that there has not been a word condemning the anti-Black American hate that comes from these tethers, but just trying to condemn us for speaking out against it. And it's because of that, I will do so even more. I will do so even louder. I will do so even prouder. And there's not one damn thing anyone can do about it.
Real talk. And I got the actual poll up in the Jumbotron. Let me find that poll. So I'm gonna see if I get some of you guys to go ahead if you have not already participate in the poll. Damn, I know I put that poll up in here. Give me 1 second real quick.
Yeah, I want to chime in real quick on Newstoter. This is Minister Ali. I just want to talk too about the generational trauma and oppression that we've experienced as a people, but yet when it's time for us to step up, you know, we've had to start over more than any other group of people, especially here in the United States. But we seem to do it successfully. And Brother Marcel spoke about when we got those stimulus checks and how many of us started businesses with those checks because we're so used to making the best out of a bad situation. When we had an opportunity, a lot of us, I brought a t-shirt press machine, an ice maker, icing machine. I bought a couple of things like that we could use to generate some resources. And I think it was good to hear that was the modus operandi for a lot of us when we got those stimulus checks. So contrary to some folks' opinion about who we are, whether they be so-called tethers or not, or whether they be just general oppressors and racists, we do have a niche to be able to begin again because we've gotten so used to, again, having to do that generation after generation after generation. It doesn't make it right? We still want and deserve to have a piece of the so-called American dream. But, you know, we do what we have to do to make the best out of bad situations. So I wanted to contribute that to the conversation, and I yield.
Okay. Damn, I thought I put this damn.
That's how we've been able to. That's first of all, that's how we built the nation. We made the best out of the most deplorable, inhumane, brutal situation. That's why we are among the most prolific, profound, successful inventors in the world. And in spite of being denied education, in spite of being denied our human rights, in spite of being treated less than, a lot of times not even receiving credit, you cannot mention the modern world with all its technological progress without mentioning the inventions of freedmen, foundational Black Americans. That's us, okay? We were even out inventing a lot of white Americans and a lot of European groups during the days of chattel slavery and the days during the failure of Reconstruction. We don't have to prove a damn thing to anyone. I am really sick of this attitude that when other communities have problems, they look to the government to address their issues. And the government pretty much gives them a blank check because the government says we must do something. When we, Black Americans, who have centuries-long genocidal violence inflicted upon us, have problems, then people want to say we have to look to ourselves and find out what's wrong with things. Hell to the damn no.
what has been wrong with us has been the things that have been done wrongly to us. And the only place where I fault us is that we do not get politically active as we should. Outside of that, we are as close to being flawless as any group can possibly get.
Okay, real quick, up in the jump. Hey, hold on real quick. I don't know who was about to speak, but hold on real quick. Up in the Jumbotron, I have the actual on the left-hand side, the second on the left-hand side, we have a poll up there. It says, do you plan on watching the Amazon Prime Tethers documentary? So far, we got 310 votes. 64% says yes, 24% says no, 6% says not sure, 6% says maybe. For those that have not already done so and participated in the poll, please go ahead and participate in the poll and also retweet it out. That's in the actual Jumbotron on the left-hand side, the second on the left-hand side. So if you have not participated in the poll, go ahead and cast a vote and go ahead and also retweet it out as well too. We definitely appreciate that. And like I said, also we got over 100 and some odd people up in the space. Marcel, when you get a chance, put your link up in there so we can go ahead and try to get you some donations. Also, we got 137 people up in here. I know that Newstoter, the largest Black-owned news curation platform, can at least get $1 or $2 donation from some of our people that's up in the space. Ain't asking for 10 or 20, but if you got $1 that you can donate to the platform, and I do mean $1, I don't mean you got to go over $1, but if you do have $1 that you can donate to the platform, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. If you don't have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. Same with our people on YouTube. We got the Cash App on the actual screen, and we got the actual PayPal and Venmo up in the actual description as well. So once again, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. I know with almost 140 people up in the space, we can at least get a couple of our people to donate at least $1 to the actual platform. But who was about to speak? Was that the Black? Who was that about to speak?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but I was referring to that's true though, that a lot of people. That's another thing they always like saying, the terrorists of the Caribbean, African cultures, they like saying that we lazy, we gangbangers, we drug dealers, we commit crime though. But I had a conversation with an Ethiopian. I was saying that you got all the types of Caribbean, African groups that do all types of shit. You got especially in the East Coast and Florida and all them other places.
Try not to curse, brother, but go ahead. Try not to curse, but go ahead.
My bad. Sorry about that. Yeah. But you got all the types of Somalian gangs in Minnesota, Cleveland, Ohio, Seattle, Washington. They do all types of organized stuff. Then they the ones brought all the stuff to this country. The Somalians, the Nigerians, the Haitians, Jamaicans, Bahamians, the Nigerians, all these other groups, they the ones brought all the guns, drugs into the country though. That destabilized the Black Community Foundation, Black American or Freeman community. So that's a lie. And also, this documentary talk about that the Nigerian Black Axe Mafia, you have all types of Nigerian organized crime syndicate groups like the Nigerian Black Axe Mob, the Yahoo Boys, the 1 Million Boys, and also when they do something positive, do something constructive, they go out their way to say that they delineate. This the first Bahamian or Nigerian or Haitian, Jamaican or Somalian American that graduated from college. But men that do crimes, they like to say we all black when they do crimes though. But we saying we no longer gonna accept that no more. We should have been doing that a long time ago. So I'm glad a lot of our people is waking up. Like when they talk about all the stuff, crimes going on in New York City, all these major cities across America, we need to point out and say, oh, this ain't no Black American, this is a Haitian that done that. And they mad too because they can't tether on to us no more. So that's a good thing we'll be doing. I'm definitely going to see the documentary, Tethers, and good work on that documentary, Marcel. We support your work.
Hey, real quick, let me give a shout out to Fort Models and Nicola. And also, let me see, Professional Punter, I see you back in here with this whole thing, the Thomas Soul thing. Like I said before, and I said in the other space, every time you come up in the space, you're talking about how Thomas Sowell destroyed reparations. I offered you to speak last time, so if you want to speak, brother, come on up in here and speak. I don't know if you're up in the space or not, but you constantly troll the space, talk about Thomas Sowell. I don't know if he's a personal hero of yours or whatever, but if you got something to say, like this joke, Thomas Sowell, the economist. He's there forever talking about him. I don't know. He has a special spot in his heart for him or whatever. But if you want to come up here and speak about him, I don't know why you always in the comments section. You always post him and whatnot about how he destroyed reparations and this and that or whatever. Like I said, he must be a personal hero of yours. But feel free to come in and speak, please. DJ, go ahead and
Also, one more thing, Newstoter. Yeah, Tommy Sotomayor, he's a Tedder.
No, not Tommy Sotomayor. I'm talking about Thomas Sowell. No, not Sotomayor. I'm talking about the economists that that always criticize reparations, the ultra conservative economist who always throws dirt on reparations. That's who I'm talking about. Like Professional Punter loves to mention him all the time. So that's why I'm telling him if he wants to come up here and speak about him, feel free. I know you're not going to come up into space and actually speak about him. I know you just like to leave comments all the time or whatever. I don't know what's so great about him, but if you want to speak about him, come on up here and speak. DJ, go ahead and unmute your mic.
No black Bobby. No black Bobby. I'm Dominican Bobby. No, no black today. No.
Who said something? Because somebody said they wanted to speak. I couldn't hear him. Hey, Mr. Iconic, you gotta if you got your headset on. Hold on, DJ. If you got your headset on, take your earbuds out and turn your phone up because it's kind of low. You still kind of low, but go ahead. Let me hear you.
All right, real quick. I live in the New York area. Marcel, this is a documentary put together because I'm kind of late. I actually just got done. The message from DJ.
We can't get you a little bit louder than that, Mr. Iconic.
Unfortunately, hold on. Give me one moment.
All right. Let's say we get you a little bit loud so the people on YouTube can hear you as well too.
Hey, check for updates, bro, and come back if you have to.
Because you really go ahead.
Can you hear me better?
I can hear you a little bit better. Go ahead.
Dang, just a little better?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you better than before, but go ahead. You got it.
All right. So, Marcel has a documentary going. That's actually great. I didn't know you had a documentary going. Newstoter is a good space that you're having. I literally lost my train of thought now. Because I had to fix the sound and everything.
Well, at least you're a lot louder. So, but hopefully it'll come back to you.
Yeah. But I kind of get it back. What I was gonna say is, I live in the New York area. Okay. You have a lot of Jamaicans, Haitians, saying the N-word 24/7 and shit like that, but they'll tell you right away they're not black. They don't give a damn. When they accomplish something, they are who they represent. You see them every day, like every year, with their little pride parades and stuff like that. When we do something, it's like here, it's like put to the bottom, but everybody else is put up top. And when it comes to starting black businesses during COVID, I am one of those people who took that money and started a business. This is where I got Iconic Graphics from, which is my online store. The bank would not give me a loan, even though I have close to an 800 credit score. But they would give them a loan, no problem. So these people, they're not our friends. They're literally our enemies. I literally had somebody here. They asked this man, this is somebody I like dabbed up at my job and everything. I spoke to speak to and everything. And this man literally said like, oh no, I'm not one of those black Americans. Those are black Americans. I'm Jamaican. Okay? You said it to an Asian, a white, and a Spanish person, literally all together. And it's like, oh yeah, we get it. We understand. So they know the difference on what's going on and shit like that. So I think we should definitely 100% delineate. That's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you. Maurice, I see you came up here. Did you want to say something? Hey, Maurice, can you hear me? Hey, Maurice, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here now.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and add something in as well?
was responding to your last caller as far as the dope trade. That totally was not us. That was the CIA and the FBI. They actually put crack cocaine into our neighborhoods. They put that crack cocaine into our neighborhoods to destabilize the Black Panther movement and part of the civil rights movement. So I don't actually know what dude was talking about. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean, like as far as the black establishment and our well-being, we've always been sabotaged by white supremacy, whether it goes towards Black Wall Street, whether it goes towards the black breakfast program and those other programs that came after that. We don't never consider that all of these black prosperous city that's under lakes right now. You know what I mean? Lakes right now. And we have other black cities that's been barbaded by highways. You know what I'm saying? So we got this mentality where everybody is telling us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. And then we are looking at all of these people coming into the U.S. that's getting just mad handouts. And everybody is telling us what we need to do as a community. We don't need to do shit as a community.
Hey, don't curse, cuz. We go ahead.
Collect our paper. That's a debt. It's old. You feel me? And we have race, Afghans, we have Latinos, we have everybody coming across that border and they getting papered up. Black people, we not getting nothing. And I mean, like, yo, and this is what, I mean, like, our elder folks, this is what they voted for. I mean, like, I'm gonna just let it go right there.
Our elders didn't vote for this, bro. Nobody knew this sidewinder curveball was coming our way. And I didn't vote for anybody in 2020, so nobody understood this was coming. This is all by design, fam. But go ahead.
We do have sellouts that put us, nobody knew.
Not the collective, bro. Not the collective understood what was about to happen to us. Only a select few did, you know what I mean? But go ahead.
Yeah, nobody knew that this was coming our way.
Audio.
You know what I'm saying? And then they got two black faces that's about to do the same thing out here in Memphis. You understand what I'm saying? We right across the street from Memphis. I'm in North Carolina. You feel me? And we ain't a sanctuary state. But these cats come, you know what I'm saying, once they make that a sanctuary state, now hey, these niggas come over here to North Carolina. Now we got to do our thing over here in North Carolina. You feel me?
Okay, man, I'll say something real quick.
Go ahead real quick. And we're going to get to that. I said we got a couple speakers up too, so go ahead real quick.
I just want to say you're right. We got to get out of that black face as far as the black race mentality. We also got to start thinking that there's just one kind of black in the black race. Okay, if I went to South Africa, I would not expect to get apartheid reparations for the horrors of apartheid. I would not. If I went to Ethiopia, and you know, both sides accuse each other, the Oromo, and I forgot the other one that they're always fighting, the Oromo, and then you have Asia. I I'm not sure if that's them, but whatever horrors they feel the government have committed against them, I would not expect to get reparations for that because I am not of that lineage, of that status. So there's not even one type of black person in the black race. We are diverse people, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I know when people say this is what we voted for. Now we have to start looking, what is it that we're working for? Are we running for office and working for what we're owed? Are we on a candidate's team actively working for what we're owed? That's something we have to ask ourselves. Number three, I'm beyond saying white supremacy is the issue. White supremacy is definitely a major, major issue. But I'm going to be more laser focused, saying anti-Freeman FA or just anti-black American hate. And there's anti-blackness, the anti-black American hate. When Asians were when they were being persecuted, they didn't say white supremacy. They said anti-Asian hate. When white Jews are being persecuted, they don't say, white supremacy. They say it's anti-Semitism. We have to be just as laser focused when it comes to things being done towards us.
All right. Appreciate that, Marcel. I'm not sure which one of you guys had your hand up first. DJ, you know who had their hand up first?
Sean and Terrain both came up at the same time, but whoever felt like they want to speak first, I guess.
Greetings, family. I'm listening, and I want to add my little 2 cents, and mindfully without using the wrong words here, because that's I'm starting to get used to that in this space. I'm hearing something, and I want to add to this, and I think it's constructive. On top of fighting for getting our repair, parts of our repair is our own. We have to do some self-healing. We have to do stuff to heal ourselves, to repair ourselves. So all the repair is not totally economic, right? In fact, we should be doing things toward our economics without just on our own, right? So while we're fighting for getting repair from our enemies, because remember, these are our enemies. You have to know who your enemy is. You have to understand that if you're in a good position, if you're doing well, your enemy is not happy. It works counter against them. So to think that for them to help you would be counter them is the right way to think. So the other logic to that is, why would they help you if that is what they're trying to do, is harm you? That's what they historically have done to us, recent history, right? So we don't own the banks, and we don't make the policies that give loans. So we know that if they want to, now we need to ask the question, why are they giving loans to other people and not us, right? Why are they giving loans to Jamaicans and Haitians and Guyanese and Mexicans and, all these other folks and not us? That's a question we need to really be clear about, because what comes to mind first is that it creates division. That's one thing it does. For them to build their economic, us not to have that opportunity is very interesting. Why would they do that? So we need to be reliant on each other. Just like we can donate our twos and fews to this, it's 137 people in this room, that's $137. The more that we think in that way to support this business, that's serving us. We have a platform that's going to be reached on YouTube and other places. So this is serving us. It's getting our issues out. So in the same way that we can support this business, we can support other endeavors in our community. We've got to realize that we are in a situation where we are faced with our enemies. And we can do it, family. We can build our schools, we can build our grocery stores and our hospitals and our even put our money together to put our politicians in office that we want. We can do that. We can, pay the police off. That's what what's his brother, elder brother. He said, pay off the police, pay off the politicians, right? So I just wanted to say that we can't just focus on, when I hear, now this is the problem. This is the problem. I'm going to end on this. When we focus on other black folks that are from different places and not look at the bigger picture, which is the ones that have the money and the control. They allow the immigrants in from everywhere they want. They control that. So we've got to look at the ones who is controlling that. And the ones that are coming in, my thing about that is simply we need to just know who we are, because I've never, in the way I was raised, I've never had a competition problem with other folks because we thought we were the shit. And, we had the education part, meaning my immediate family. We had that. We didn't have the business part. We had the education part. So we did really good with school, right? And we tried business. We're still doing that. Me and my siblings, we're still doing that. But we never had an issue with competition. I don't care who you are. And if you're as great as we say we are, if we are as great as we say we are, with all the inventions that we did, even while we were in chattel slavery, then we should not have an issue with anybody coming into this country and doing better than us, as long as we realize what we're up against, what they are doing to undermine us. If we're clear about that and what we're up against, then we know what we have to. We got to deal with these white folks, and we got to deal with other folks who are competing with us. And I think that if we're as great as we are, and we are, that shouldn't be a problem. So, those who want to build with us, fine. If you don't want to build with us and you want to separate and delineate, fine, because we clearly know who we are. We are a distinct group. This part I don't get, and I guess it's just my age. We are a distinct group with a culture, and we have a name, right? Now, that name, as a group, we can change the name and all of that, right? But we're still the same people. So I don't see the big problem with that. But then again, I'm clear about my identity, and I am shackled to my identity. And that's what allows me to be totally free, or as free as I think I am, right? Free to think in the way that I think, and free to do whatever it is that I want to do. And any shortcomings is my inability to understand my enemy and understand where I am and understand what time it is. Not understanding those things are the limits to my success. I'll land right there. Thank you.
Okay, let me go ahead and I'm going to get to the next speaker. But real quick, before I get to the next speaker, I do have to say something real quick. I know you were saying that I haven't, from this conversation tonight, and it's about about two documentaries. And like I said, I want people to check out the other documentary as well, to America's Truth, Cincinnati. That's on YouTube, and that's up in the Jumbotron, I think on the fourth on the right-hand side. So guys, check that out. That's on YouTube. That's highlighting the situation that's going on historically in Cincinnati, what's going on to this day. I'll say this right here. I haven't, and the other one, of course, is about Tethers. And, in that documentary, I haven't heard anybody in the space say anything about being afraid to compete. I don't think there's anybody in here afraid to compete with people coming over here. The title and what most of the people were talking about, what you was talking about, the term tethers and what did it mean and how they felt about it. So I just want to get that, like, nobody that I felt that none of the speakers in here said that, we're afraid to compete or even hinted at, hey, we're afraid of competition or whatever. So I have to go ahead, Shah, and just put that point out there. I haven't heard, that hasn't come across to me at all in the actual space. Second thing, I will agree with you about supporting Black business. You said it's 137 people in here. That's real. That's why when I say support Black business and donate at least $1, if you got $1 to the actual platform, you can definitely do that. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter, because Newstoter is the largest Black-owned curation platform today in America. So if you got $1 and we don't ask for a lot, definitely think about donating that way. But I have to say this right here. I have not heard anything in the past 2 hours in the space to lead me to believe that any of the speakers that came up here feel that, hey, we're afraid to compete, because, like it or not, we've always had to compete in this country, so I have to say that I have not heard that, and I'm just being 100. I respect your opinion, but I have not heard that whatsoever in the space. So I just want to say that. Now, people have their opinions on the word tether and this and that. That's one thing, but I haven't gotten a sense of anybody scared to compete. And what they're basically saying is, hey, this is the word. This is what we look at. We look at these people here. Not all immigrants. We consider this to be not all black immigrants. We consider to be tethers or whatever. And some people do consider certain people that they feel act a certain way and do certain things to be tethers. So I just want to be really clear on that part right there. Like competition, and too many times I hear people throw that to Black Americans, that Black Americans are afraid of competition and stuff like that. And I just don't see that. I've never, at least I can go by my family, how I was raised, the communities I lived in, or whatever. I never heard my parents, my family members, anybody in our family ever speak in a cowardly way that we're afraid to compete against anybody, be it black, white, or whoever, Mexican, you name it. So I just have to go ahead and say that point like that. I don't raise my kids like that. I wasn't raised like that. Nobody I grew up was raised like that. We've never cowered in terms of competition, whether, you talk about financially, physically, athletically, whatever it was, it's just that I just have to be real about that. We've never been that type of people for the people I grew up around or whatever. And anybody that I lived next to, anything like that, we've never been afraid of competition. So, and I have not heard that in the actual space too, but a lot of times that's one of the main talking points. And that's sometimes something that creates divisiveness as well. Two people talk, well, Black Americans are sitting up here and y'all just afraid to compete with these people. And that's why you're saying this and saying that or whatever. Nah, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Shai, respectfully. I respect your opinion, but I'm going to have to disagree with you on that. Terrain, I see you up here. You want to go ahead and unmute your mic? You got it.
What's good, brother? What's good, Newstoter? What's good, Marcel?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey, nothing, brother. Just coming in a little bit late, but I'm checking out the documentary. First of all, man, shout out to Marcel and his team for putting together, a documentary, getting it out. I know the struggle it takes to get something even shot and edited and made, and least of all, put into a space where it can be heard, as like Amazon. But I just got a couple of questions. One, both of these are directed at Marcel or also at the host. But I want to ask Marcel, first off, I'd love for you to get to the process from conception to getting this done, to getting it up into a platform where it can be seen by the world. And my second question is a little bit longer, and it's this. Like other speakers on the space have said, having this conversation doesn't mean that Black Americans or American descendants of slaves are attacking everybody from the diaspora. But we got to be honest, there are a lot of people from the diaspora who are in academia and they're in entertainment and they're in spaces where they're able to guide the direction of basically thought in this country and also our images in this country. And a lot of these people have said very negative and derogatory things about African Americans. So my question is, for that small group of people who are in these positions to be able to influence the culture while disrespecting the culture, what steps do you plan to take, after the release of this movement? What steps do you plan to take the same way that other populations are able to enforce their rules about how they want to be presented and respected? What do African Americans do to make sure that these people face some sort of consequences for saying hateful things about African Americans in our land?
All right. Well, Marcel, he did. I think that question was pointed for you. I would say this right here, Terrain, that Marcel actually didn't come up with the actual documentary, even though he's featured in it. It was a young college student that actually came up with it. But I'll let Marcel answer though.
Right, y'all. I was just asked for an interview. I didn't know he would go this big with it. It's going to be premiering on Tubi as well, which I've seen some of these Tubi ads on it, and I'm like, oh goodness, but it's going to be premiering on Tubi as well. And apparently, because the people at Tubi saw it and liked it, he even said that YouTube movie or YouTube film, whatever, YouTube's little film thing they have that plays ads, they saw it and they liked it as well. This is all per the director. I will have him on a space tomorrow at 8 o'clock, so y'all can ask some questions directly after y'all meet him. Two, I would say we have to be codified when it comes to how we move. If someone disrespects us, stop patronizing them, spread the word, and we need to withdraw our support. I think we are already seeing that. We're already seeing that some when these other groups had their issues and conflicts, we are largely staying out of it. We've been seeing it for quite a while when, for example, some of our women go into these hair stores and they disrespect them. We've seen some of us, especially our men, show up and shut them down. That's kind of the energy in which we need to move. And I just want to say, to your point, Newstoter, I'm not going to say what Shaw meant or what he probably was trying to say, but just to your point, Newstoter, I get sick and tired. And again, Shaw, I'm not saying you were saying this. I'm just saying this in general. I get really sick and tired of this whole we are afraid to compete. First of all, that's BS. People are afraid to compete with us. That's why we had centuries of black holes in Jim Crow laws.
Real talk. We got a new speaker up here. I want to get my man Black Pressure up here, and I'm gonna get to you, Sean. I'm gonna get to you, Maurice, as well too. But Black Pressure, go ahead and unmute your mic.
What's up, Black family? What's up, News? Ray, DJ, everybody, all the usual suspects.
What's up?
News, I'm gonna make mine short, fam. If you talk about black people being afraid to quote unquote compete, if you look across any spectrum, whether it be like you kind of touched on it, sports, entertainment, academia, cultural influence, etc. I want to know what ethnic group in the diaspora is even our competition. That, like Amar said, that is a joke to even evoke that. You literally, we talk about this all the time. If you look at cultural influence, and I'm talking about in the globe, not just in the United States or in the Western world, in the globe, if it was a competition between us and any ethnic group in the diaspora, the people would get laughed out of their socks. That is a complete joke to even hint at something like that. Now mute up and listen.
All right, appreciate that. Let me go ahead and go back to Shaw. Shaw, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, so response is that yes, we achieve. We're like folks have been saying, we're not all the same on the same level, the same mindset. We're not monolithic or whatever people say, right? So in saying that, we've always, had high achievers, and we've always been a certain way as a type of people, athletically, intellectually, as far as arts and sports and whatever, right? This is what we are as a people. We are high achievers in a lot of ways. Not all of us are, and I think the ones of us who probably are not as much, maybe the ones who are saying things that I've heard that it's not exactly, they're not saying exactly that I'm afraid to compete. They're not saying it. It's just the things that they're saying sound defeatist to me. The things that they're saying don't sound like, to me, someone who sees a glass half full instead of half empty. And that's okay, because, we can work with those type of people. I'm an educator, so when I get students who think that way, I try to change that way of thinking by, showing them how great they are, the things that they've done, what they can do, and take them step by step, right? And show them, how they have made achievements, and they can see their progress and start to build their confidence. So the people who I'm hearing this coming from might be those type of people who need to build their confidence up so that it looks that way. Also, another thing too is that I need to say this, is that these people in the Caribbean and Africa, we have a shared cultural, historic connection with these people. These people can be our allies. These people are related to us genetically, historically. And so they're not just some outsiders. These are, for some of us, not all of you may consider this. I consider these people my family. But guess what? In that, all of those people don't consider me their family. But some of those people do. And some of those people just need education about who they are. Because if they know who they are historically and culturally, they'll know, oh, these people over here, I have a shared cultural, historic connection with these people in America, I look like them or similar to them, and they could be an ally. So this is another way of looking at it. Those who don't see that are wrong. They're off code. Africans and Caribbeans who don't think that way are off code. And it doesn't make them your enemy. It makes them ignorant. The people here who don't think that way, to me, and this is just my opinion, are off code. And they need education. That's all. Even with that education doesn't mean that every Caribbean and every African is going to be your friend or that you consider them your friend. But certainly you won't consider them your adversary or enemy. And this is what I'm hearing, is that Africans that are not from here are adversarial to you automatic, mostly, and not potential allies and family. That's what I hear, and that makes the ancestors cry and turn over. It makes me very distraught. And again, as coming up as a young person, I worked with whoever wanted to work with me. We worked with whoever was working with us, and not even all of them were of African descent. It was Mexicans, it was other groups of people that we were community building. That's my experience that I can share with y'all. That's how we got done. It was a small core of us doing all the work, as it usually is. And this is how we built our community and built schools and built a city, to the degree that it lasted. We did what we could do. And so, that's it.
Okay, so I have to, and I'm going to just real quick, because we're going to get around to the hands, but I know I just heard you say something that you felt that the Africans, basically Africans who don't agree with you, and I know if that's what you're saying, the actual space is about, just the general consensus of the actual attitude. You feel like Africans who don't actually agree with Black people or Black Americans look at them as the enemy. I don't really think I heard that. I think, like I said, that pretty much people are saying that, hey, if you're undermining, not if you have a disagreement with somebody, but if you're undermining or you're constantly you're benefiting off of things that Black Americans in this country fought for and got passed, and you're able to come over here and enjoy that and you start sitting up here and you're saying all kind of negative things and this and that, not a disagreement. I mean, that you're actually full of vitriol towards somebody, I don't really see how, I don't really see that point of view that you're saying that, but that's just me. I mean, to me, from what I was understanding with what people were saying, a tether this, a tether that, people, they said it many a times that, hey, just because you're an immigrant does not make you a tether. That's my understanding. And to be totally clear, like I said earlier in the space, I don't even use the word tether. I don't even use it. People in my space, they use it and stuff like that. I don't even go around and say, oh, this person's a tether, that person's a tether. I don't do it. But other people do it. But just to be clear, from what I'm from the explanations from what people are saying of what a tether is somebody that goes on Fox News, and they start sitting up here talking about reparations, and they're sitting up here talking about, Black America, and they say Black people, even though by the letter of the law, they wouldn't even be included in the actual reparations, but they sit up here and they start saying things like, we as Black people, we don't need reparations. We already got reparations. And they'll sit up here and they'll say things like that. And they'll sit up here and say that, racism doesn't exist. And they'll say things that a lot of conservatives in this country agree with when it comes to the viewpoints that they have about Black Americans, and they'll sit up here and they'll champion this stuff. For instance, the fellow that was up there in Michigan, I believe, that was running for governor, he comes over and I believe the brother's Nigerian, and he sits up here, and we can't blame it on him just being ignorant, because this is an educated man. He sits up here and he's talking about that he wants to go ahead and get rid of Black History Month. Now, something, as a Black immigrant, something that his ancestors had nothing to do with creating over here, he sits up and he talks about he wants to get rid of, Black History Month. Now, should Black people in this country look at this man as an actual ally or a friend, or should we say, well, because this guy has this guy is quoting, he's using white supremacy talking points to go ahead and endear himself to an actual fan base of people who actually can't stand Black Americans. So when we start saying that, it goes beyond disagreements. And like I said, I'm not into the whole tether thing. I don't really use it or whatever. Like I said, a bunch of people in the space do use it, whatever. If I don't like somebody and they have an immigrant background, I'll just say that. I have no problem saying that. I don't use the word tether. I like, look, this person is somebody whose family had nothing to do with the creation of this country, the building of this country, the enrichment of this country. They benefiting off of Black people, Black Americans. But like I said, I have a little bit of a disagreement with that. But we got some hands up. So Maurice, I know you was waiting. I'm gonna go ahead and get to you, and then I'm gonna get to Black Pressure and Marcel. But go ahead, Maurice.
Okay, am I on?
Yeah, you here? Go ahead.
Hey, listen, man. I'm not trying to be disparaging and nothing like that. But what city you from, cuz?
I'm from East Palo Alto, California, also known as Nairobi. It's nicknamed Nairobi, California. High school, elementary school, and all of that goodness going on. 1992, we were the nation's murder capital, right? We had 40 deaths, got a population of 30,000. So we have a history of progressiveness. We have a history of Pan-Africanness. We have a history of working together. We have a diverse community. That's where I'm from.
Okay, so we got that same thing going on right out here in North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like it's you know what I'm saying, outside the fact, it ain't nothing to get found. It ain't nothing to get found up in a dumpster around here. You know what I'm saying? I've been raised here all my life. You know what I'm saying? Since my best friend got found up in the dumpster. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is these immigrants, these people that we have coming into our neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough that we got crime in our neighborhoods already. You understand me? But the new crime that's coming on, these people that's coming from war-torn states. And then if you really think about it, the Black people that's in these states of America, we are in a war-torn state ourselves. You understand what I'm saying? And then we got these war-torn people coming in. It's grateful that North Carolina is not a sanctuary state, but they put Black faces in Black places to give these people sanctuary status. You understand what I'm saying? So and now they got Memphis. They got 2 Black faces off of Memphis. That's gonna tell them that that's a sanctuary city. These is all Black people. They ain't sending these people to no white states or no white counties or no white places. They sending them all the Black people. But we got to deal with this shit. You understand me? And I ain't trying to use no bad language. I'm trying my best.
Yeah, so don't just go ahead and keep talking, but don't curse. But go ahead.
But they sending these people to all of these Black counties and all these Black states, and ain't nobody got nothing to say about it. But they telling us to vote for these people. You understand me? They draining all the resources from these Black people, to give to these folks that's not even from here. No licenses, no IDs, no social security number, and they giving these people just free stand. And we taxpayer, this is what we paying for. We paying for these people to come in and cause our own destruction. You understand me? And then they gonna tell you when these people start committing crimes. When these people start committing crimes, they gonna tell you that you can't do nothing about it. Then when you go to the police station and make a report about it, these people look at you like you funny in the face. You understand what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? Like we can't get a hate crime bill. We can't get a hate crime bill. We can't get no type of form of reparations. You know what I'm saying? Even if we don't get reparations, you could at least do something for the black community. And you know what I'm saying? To go back to what I said.
Brother, I just
elders voted. A whole lot of elders voted for this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Not saying because I voted for something that my taxpayer money don't mean nothing. You know what I mean? But at the same time, what we supposed to do about that?
Are you doing stuff to make sure that black folks?
Can we move on to the hands, please, Shaw? Because other people want to speak.
Yeah, real quick, and I'm gonna come back to Sha, but let me get to Jess Cakes because she hasn't had a chance to speak. But I'm gonna come back to you. I'm gonna get to Marcel Black Pressure, and I'll come back to you, Sha. But go ahead, Jess Cakes.
Hey fam, hey Marcel, hey Newstoter.
What's
shout
up?
out to all of them in the room. So I think I remember Shad. I think he's a habitual pansexual. I mean, a Pan-African. So everything, if you already have a bias to what you want to do or how you feel because your own small circle or your bubble, then you really can't hear nobody. Like I've been in these spaces for a while since spaces started, and one thing he has been is consistent in how he feels about the Africans versus Black Americans and stuff like that. So even if you could say something clear and concise and to the point, and he'll still misunderstand it some type of way just because maybe his brain can't compute just based off of his own personal experience. But to the point of as far as Tethers, nobody's afraid to compete. The problem is we didn't see Africans or Caribbeans running up over here during slavery times. We didn't see African or Caribbeans running up over here when we was fighting for civil rights and equal rights and stuff like that. When the fighting and everything, when the dust settled and cleared and stuff like that, and people could go to school and get an education and everything else, now here they come, okay? And that's all good and well and fine because we thought that we was coming on one accord. We was going to be one big family like Shai wants us to be. But the problem is they never seen us like that. And the other problem is we was ignorant in the sense of the definition as we didn't know. We was hopeful, but we didn't know. With them fighting each other from the same country, different tribes and stuff like that, the tribalism and stuff like that, if we had more information, we would have known that the people need to stay where they at. They used the programs and stuff like that our ancestors fought for to get a leg up. They be in our circles and everything else. And then once they get a lane in, every lane in, they block us out. Look at the housing in New York. When the Caribbeans and the Africans get a foothold in the housing or something like that, what do? Block Black Americans out. They had their own little enclaves and stuff like that where they help them out. Which, yeah, you should help your own and stuff like that. But let's stop acting like we one big nigga, respectfully, okay? The other thing is healthcare, same thing. They get a foothold in that, and not only will they, we could put them onto something. They'll block us out, and not only that, they'll throw dirt on our name. That's not clear stuff. I'm not gonna say what it is because I know I'm gonna respect this channel and stuff like that. But it's the dirty tactics that they do. That's why we here. We wasn't here at first. I always go back to the fact that my parents, I grew up in a Pan-African household. It was personal experiences And then now that we able to get on the World Wide Web, and I understand that my personal experience ain't the only experience, ain't the only person that experienced the same thing. You go and patronize the African braiding shops, and they so nasty and so rude and everything else. They have no respect. What do they always say? No culture. We cultureless and everything else. But every time you see a tether on TV, they looking like a Black American. These girls didn't know how to do their hair or wash their cooter. See, I was gonna say it. They didn't know how to wash their privates properly until they got into Black American spaces, and we put them all together.
For the context, there you go.
Okay, cool. All right, well, we on the same page. You know what I'm saying? So here it is. They take the best parts. They bite our style. Then say we don't have no culture. They get information from us because we so forthcoming and so willing to work with each other, and then block us out. This was something in the making. They started, we finishing it. That's just what time it is. Like the days of turning the other cheek, we know what time it is. They can't even get along in their own continent, in their own countries. So, respectfully, ain't no kumbaya happening. Period. Like, to this day, I can't freaking braiding shop or nothing like that. Here it is. I'm gonna land it. I'm finna get ready to land. Here it is. When we sit here, we bring it a problem. Let's keep in mind how this conversation happened on what's that? The other platform where the Africans is up in there talking really reckless about Black people. You know, being very disrespectful, very disparaging. And they talk like that when they're in the comfort of their own circles. So let's just stop it. Like we not going for it no more. This is a whole conversation we started 2 years ago, and it's consistent. Nothing has changed. What do these people say? Oh, y'all not gonna make us stop taking y'all scholarships. You got people that work in schools and colleges. You got Africans working in colleges that will fail a Black American. Do nothing to help that person. So let's stop acting. Let's stop pretending that this is not what it is. I can't go blind. I can't turn a blind eye to this. This is some real stuff. This is real life, and we at real war. They decided versus be our ally. They decided to be our enemy. They sided with the enemy. And he said something. I'm landing here. He said something about the ancestors crying. Out of respect for your channel, I'm gonna respectfully say, some of them ancestors can go to hell, okay? Because some of them ancestors did some dirty stuff, and they ought to repent for it. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Jess Cakes. Let me give a shout out real quick to Ernest. Ernest, thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Guys, we got Marcel's link up in the Jumbotron if you want to go ahead and donate to Marcel. It's on the far left-hand side. Marcel's link is up there. Click that. Go ahead and make a donation for those that's able to. I say it the same way I say for this channel. If you got even $1 that you can spare to Marcel, definitely go ahead and do that. Any amount helps. So let me go ahead and get to Marcel. As a matter of fact, and I got you, Pressure. I'm gonna get to you also. Actually, Marcel, I'm gonna get to Marcel, then I'm gonna get to McFly.
Okay, so I have a lot to say, but I'm gonna make it very brief. One, Shaw, I don't know. You talk about people looking at the glass half empty instead of half full. The only reason we've been able, those of us who are Black Americans, freedmen, or foundational Black Americans, the only reason we've been able to survive in this country is because we've had no damn glass. Okay? Whatever glass we've had is the glass we've made, and they came and shattered it. Only because of us having optimism have we been able to survive. But we're going to stop with this optimism as the answer. This keeping hope alive is the answer. Because as much of our people on the plantation hoped to be free, a lot of them were born enslaved and died that way. That optimism didn't change their situation at all. Okay? Let's just be very clear. Number two, you talk about us being genetically related to people from Africa and the Caribbean. And I don't know why we only focus on Africa and the Caribbean. There are black people in the non-Caribbean parts of Latin America. There are black people in Europe. There are black people even in Asia. So let's broaden and stop acting like black people, quote unquote, are limited just to African continent, the Caribbean. But speaking of them being genetically related, you know who else they were genetically related? They're genetically related to some of their fellow people in the African countries, in the Caribbean nations, and the Latin American nations among whom they live inside. Haitians and Dominicans are very closely genetically related, and they can't stand and hate each other. A lot of those tribes, again, I mentioned Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Kenya, those are some tribes that are known for having tribal conflict. They're closely related to each other, and it doesn't make a goddamn difference. Not only do they not like each other, they slaughter each other. So why are black Americans supposed to ignore the hostility coming from some of them because we are quote-unquote genetically related, while you say nothing about the fact that they are tribes related to each other in their own countries who hate each other? And do you go in their spaces giving them this, we all need to come together, kumbaya speech? No, you do not. Number three, it's been made clear time and time again, a tether is an anti-black American immigrant. And by the way, those who didn't like tethers, there's a second part coming out called The Debate Wars. I don't know why that cover photo. That is not me. That's some AI-generated mess. But I had a conversation with some people who are black immigrants or descendants of black immigrants. And some of them did not like the word tether. And guess what I did? Stood my damn ground. And I said, you more upset about the word tethers, but I don't hear a damn thing coming from y'all condemning the behavior that we use on a person who is a tether. That's what matters. It's the behavior that leads to a person being a tether. There are many, many black immigrants who are not tethers. There are many, many black immigrants who are. So instead of trying to get on us about using the word tether or talk about how we treat them, how about you talk about how they've been treating us and the danger they pose towards us? That will help right there. Number four, I'm going to double down, triple down, quadruple down, and more. I am not going to entertain any talk about what black Americans have and have not done. When other groups need help, white Americans, for example, the government has literally spent trillions building up their wealth. When black Americans need help, we get told to look on the inside and reflect on our behavior and what we can do. Damn that. Right now, illegal immigrants, Ukrainians, Israelis, you name it. Groups, half of them aren't even, none of them are Americans, are getting hundreds of billions of dollars sent their way. And yet Americans, black Americans, who built the nation, fought for the nation, sacrificed for the nation, when we have issues, we're not supposed to expect anything from our government. We're being told to look on the inside and think about what we can do better. Hell with that. We're old and we're going to get it. Fifth of all, you're right. A person who comes here, they are ignorant. Ignorant, however, doesn't always mean you don't know. Ignorant means you're behaving as a jackass who pretends not to know. A lot of these black immigrants come here and they're very well aware of the history of black Americans in this nation. Do they always grasp the nuance? No. But even a lot of black Americans don't grasp the nuance. But they know that we've been treated poorly. They know we're still getting treated poorly. And the first thing a lot of them do is join in on these other groups showing hatred towards us and think that they can treat us poorly as well and think that we're going to still just show reverence and accept it. Those times are over. Okay? They're over. And they're not ever coming back. The last thing I want to say is that even if they don't know our history, it's not our job to teach it to them. If you are coming to a country to live, whether you came as a refugee or you came to be a student or you came for a career, it is your job to learn about the people there, especially about the people who made it possible for you to come there in the first place. I am sick and tired of whenever black people are anti-black American, white people, Asian people, whoever, we're always told we have to reach out and form an alliance. Damn that. We've done enough reaching out. Even when no one was reaching for us, we've been thrown down the pit and had quicksand thrown on top of us. We're always reaching out. It's time for others to reach out to us. So if anyone, including you, and I'm not saying you are bothered by the word tether, be bothered by the behavior that makes a person a tether, which is their fault, and not bothered by us calling out, which I can't speak for anyone else, but I am going to continue to do. And I have to drop down, y'all, but tomorrow my space will be open for further discussion about this.
All right. Well, appreciate it, Marcel. Thank you for coming by. Let me go ahead and get to Fly McFly. We're not going to go too much longer, guys, but Fly McFly, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Appreciate you, Marcel. Just listen. I hope you listen to my words. You don't gotta. You can drop down, but I hope you listen to my words. I really appreciate it. I want to salute Newstoter for being consistent and continuously holding these spaces. I also want to support DJ every time I come on. Y'all are here and y'all are holding it down, so I really do appreciate that, and I think that's extremely important that you guys are doing that. And thank you for giving me space to have a voice. I didn't watch Tethers. I will be bootlegging it. I hope y'all don't be mad at me for it. I definitely am going to tap in the capacity I'm able to, and that is the capacity I'm able to tap in as of this moment. So I will be doing that, and I will be checking it out because I've been hearing a lot about it, and I'm happy that this conversation is being had. And I'm going to keep my statement real brief, and I just want to say, Marcel, I hear a lot of hate for you, and you are my favorite politician, even though you haven't been elected into office. And I hope you continue to campaign. I hope you continue to run. I think that you succeeded, even though you weren't elected into office. And you are a beacon of light, and you represent hope, and your voice is extremely important. And I love the way you articulate yourself and the way you carry it. And I hope you continue to do that. And I just wanted you to hear these words. You are doing what you're supposed to do. Every time I hear you speak, you bring hope. And I hope there's more politicians and people that will speak in your caliber of speaking and move in your caliber of moving. Nobody is perfect, but I think that you are an excellent candidate in any office that you choose to participate in. And I just wanted you to hear that I am supporting you. And maybe I can't cash at you, but I just wanted you to hear these words and know that you bring me life when I hear you speak, Marcel. So please continue to do what you're doing. And that's really it. I just wanted to keep it brief. And thank you, Newstoter, DJ, for what y'all do. Please continue to fight the good fight. And I'm going to land my plane.
All right. Thank you, Fly McFly. Appreciate that. Definitely for those, like I said, those that can donate to Marcel's campaign, it's up in the Jumbotron. It's on the far left-hand side. Any amount is appreciated. For those that can donate to Newstoter, any amount, I always say $1 if you got it that you can spare. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, the Cash App is on the screen, and the Venmo and PayPal is up in the actual description. Once again, Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. $sign Newstoter, $sign Newstoter. And I do want to thank all of those who have donated tonight to the actual platform, not the program, not the Twitter space, not the YouTube channel, but the actual platform. Let me go ahead and kick it to Shaw. Shaw, I know you probably want to say something, so go ahead. We're not going to keep it going too much longer. We've been going close to 3 hours. But Shaw, go ahead.
I like that brother's last submission. It was just really giving gratitude, giving thanks, and I appreciate that. And I resonate with Kumbaya every now and then. It's good to have a little Kumbaya, especially when, you know, all of these things are going on in the world that is so negative, you know, war, you know, economy, you know, our communities and everything, all of this stuff going on. So we have to have some positive light, just like Marcel, this light for this young brother. Our ancestors had hope that one day they would be free. And that hope is what kept them alive enough for when the day came that they were free. They were free at some point, but they had to have some hope that they would be free, just like we have to have some hope that we will get reparations along with the work, right? And that we need to also put some hope and work into, you know, our own efforts into building our own communities, whether we get reparations or not. That's all I'm saying about that. Miseducation is a problem because my own people here in this country, African Americans, are miseducated. That's why we will work against our own interests, just like an immigrant that a Black person immigrant come to this country and work against the interests of the people. They are miseducated, and if they're not miseducated, then they are self-hating. They hate themselves, and they hate other Black folks. That's that simple. So when I say you're off code, when black folks coming here is off code, why would they be off code? The same reason that our own people is off code, and they're, siding with Donald Trump, not on any kind of policies or anything specific, but just because he represents what he represents. That's a sickness, right? I get when you say I like Donald Trump because X, Y, Z, and Z, even though I couldn't even go there just because of who he is. But I get it. At least you have some logic behind why you want to, rock with Donald Trump. But you got other black folks wanting to be part of that posse, wanting to fit in and be accepted by them. That's a sickness. So miseducation is supposed to be the thing that helps, not miseducation, but combating miseducation, right? And that's with, our education. And, I'm a black studies person, right? So we were taught that, we have to control our education and teach our people to know who we are, where we are. Everybody's not going to be in it with us, but those who want to be in it with us, fine. Those who don't, we're good. Because if you know that you're that bad, that when I first came into the room, it was like, talking about how bad we are. Like we're dynamic. We do all these great things. And if we know that, you can come from anywhere in the world and you can say whatever you want to say. Is if you rock with us, if you in this with us, now if you come in here and you make yourself an enemy, you're going to be on the out, because what we do should be what we do. We know who we are. We know where we are. And see, this is why I don't have that same problem other people have. And people like me don't have that problem, because we know who we are and we're doing things in the community to make our situation better. The problem is we don't have enough of us doing it. It's only a small group. So all I can say is let's just keep moving forward. I'm going to be in these spaces trying to give my little opinion. And yes, the sister said, I don't care what we tell him, you don't want to hear it. Well, maybe I don't hear what you want me to hear. Maybe I do hear it, because this conversation, this type of conversation, not exact, but basically the same conversation was happening 40 years ago. This is concerning to me, because if we're talking about identity 40 years ago, not so much about black immigrants. This is some new stuff, right? But it was other types of things that was going on that's similar to what's going on today. So I'm not blinding myself to what's being said, and it must be some truth to it. I mean, I'm in the world and I'm dealing with folks from all over, right? With the type of work that I had been doing most of my life. I'm interacting with all types of people. And I'll land on this point. We cannot go sit at the multicultural table until we got our stuff together. This is what I was saying when we would meet with, culture. We were doing cultural stuff. We would meet with the Mexicans and the Polynesians, and now we the African Americans sit at this table with them. Their stuff was more together. Our stuff was the most ranked of the groups. So I didn't even want to go to those meetings where we were trying to do, some type of festival with the other groups. No, this is all on cultural level. This ain't even talking about economics. So I get that part, but that's on us. That's on us to do. We've got to do for ourselves, and we can't blame other people. I'm not saying y'all blaming other people, but what I'm not hearing and seeing is us doing enough for us as our own self.
Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead. We got two final speakers. I'm gonna let Jess Cakes and CC go. I know you said something real quick about people voting for Donald Trump, but I'm gonna be honest. There's no difference between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Joe Biden has been setting up all kind of negative policies about black people since he's been in damn politics. So there's no difference. One is just a loudmouth that hasn't had a chance to put in the kind of negative policies that the other one has when he was a senator. The same one who had no problem sitting up here talking about the jungles and stuff with integration and the black kids, who's always been against black men. So there's no difference. And I know people look back to Donald Trump when he was in when he was a slumlord. Yeah, he was a slumlord. But the other one, for as long as he with the prison industry that he helped to explode with his discrepancy in sentencing and everything else that they helped to go ahead and incentivize these state governments to go ahead with the prison complex industry that Joe Biden, and then all of a sudden now he's sorry about what happened. 30, 40 years later, he's sorry now. There's no difference, to be honest. So, I mean, whether people want to vote for Trump or want to vote for Biden, the only difference is that one is a Democrat and the other one is a Republican. But I'm going to go ahead and get the Just Cakes and CC, and then we're going to get ready. We're going to close this out. Shout out to Cognitive, too, as well. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. Just Cakes, go ahead and unmute your mic. We're going to give each speaker 2 minutes because we've been going almost 3 hours, and we're going to get ready to close this thing down for the night.
All right. Well, I hate I got here so late, but I just want to know if all this energy he putting into us being on the same page with the Africans and Caribbeans, if that same amount of energy was put into the CARICOM, including Black Americans, not African Americans, but Black Americans, into the reparations, their reparations claim. Like they want to be included into ours. I wonder if Shy was putting that same type of energy and working to making things even across the board. And I just want to say I really don't think Shy has the right to say who's on code and off code, because he's been off code for so long that I don't think he's qualified. And that's no shot at you. It's just me being honest, respectfully. I don't think you're qualified to say who's off code or whatever the case is, because you've been hearing people's personal testimonies as to how they been treated. Even look at how hip hop is trying to be co-opted by the Caribbeans, and they shoehorning the Puerto Ricans into our stuff. It's just like no good deed goes unpunished when it comes to Black Americans. We're generous to the people that come in, and they turn around and screw us over. I'm not gonna go too far because you said 2 minutes.
Yeah, because we gonna
say, Black people, I love you, and we're gonna be all right. And I end it there. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Marcel, I'll let you get up here, so I'll let you be the last speaker. 2 minutes each for CC, Marcel, and we're gonna close it out. We'll go.
Next.
No, you got it, CC. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I just like to ask a couple of questions of Shaw.
No, because we trying to close it out, CC, because then it's gonna be a back.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
It's gotta be real quick, sweetie.
It is. I promise you. Shaw, how old are you?
I'm 61.
Okay, so I'm 61 as well. Real quick, what were you referencing when you said the same discussion was being had 40 years ago? And then you said, well, something very similar. What was that?
Question about identity. Black. We were calling ourselves Black at the time, so that's one thing. Questions about reparations was on the table because we were, attending conferences with reparations. So that was on the table. We're signing.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to cut you off. What you were referencing when you were speaking, you were saying you were disturbed about the conversations we're having about the immigrants. And then you said stuff like that was happening like 40 years ago. Since I was around 40 years ago, I was just curious. So not to take up any more time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, CC. Marcel, go ahead real quick. I'll give you 2 minutes and we're going to be closing it out.
Okay, first of all, Sean, I'm sorry, but you're saying a lot of BS. You talk about the Polynesians and Mexicans seem more put together. Okay, all due respect, if they're more put together, then why aren't they in their countries? Talk about some come to their table. They are in our country. So by default, they are at our table. They're at a country that would not have the level of civil rights that it has, which has a hell of a lot of room for improvement, if not for us. That would not be what it is if not for us. So they are at our table. So if you are so concerned about us uniting with them, the reason that we have not united with them in spite of our efforts is because they have made no effort to unite with us. The only thing they do when it comes to us is take advantage of us, take advantage of our goodwill, take advantage of the fact that we are people who value civil rights, justice, and equity, and they use that to their advantage and turn right. So, Sean, if you want to criticize somebody, give somebody corrective feedback, you need to take it to these other groups. And the only thing you need to be bringing to us is support for the reparations we are due.
All right. Thank you, Marcel. Minister Ali, I'll let you because I'll give you 2 minutes because I know you was trying to come up and you was having some issues. Do you want to say something real quick in 2 minutes? Because I'm close. You're gonna be the absolute last speaker. You there, Minister Ali? Can you hear me, Minister Ali? I think she's still having technical issues. Can you hear me, Minister Ali?
Testing.
Can you hear me? Okay, I think she's having some technical issues. On that note, guys, I appreciate everybody that came up in the space tonight. Thank you, Marcel, for stopping by. Check Marcel's space out tomorrow night. He's going to have the actual filmmaker up in the space, guys, so definitely check it out. We'll have a space as well, too. It'll be the same time. So hopefully we'll still be able to get some of y'all to come up in here and check us out tomorrow night as well, too. So shout out and peace. Make sure y'all check out America's Truth Cincinnati. That documentary that's up in the actual Jumbotron too. I'm going to retweet that back out. So definitely that's on YouTube. Check that out. Guys, be safe. Have a good night. And thank you for everybody who came out. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Peace. Tether, go on Tether, y'all. There you go.
Hey.